Tom CPU. Who's this old guy with the jester glasses, grabbing at every little one who passes? It's Tom CPU. Here comes Tom, he's ready again. He'll tie you to his bed, whether you're 8, 9, or 10. School age or toddlers, the answer is yes. Feminized soccer boys look lovely in a dress, staring at his hard drive cause his collection is growing. Those are his personal videos, you better let go of it. He's got a secret folder, you'll never get a hold of it. Tom's a master hacker and an ABBA backer. You're banned from his live streams, he'll never get help. Committed or just sitting in jail by himself. Tom wears white vans, he drives one too. Come here kid, Tom's got V-Bucks for you. Catching, watching cuties on repeat, tenderizes meat, so all his hater can get bent. Tom doesn't believe in age of consent. Age is just a number, jail is just a place. Tom wants to take your son all over his face. Tom CPU, what does the CP stand for? I think we all know Tom CPU. He's gonna come and get your babies. He can't stop talking about your kids. Why do all these grown adults trust a childless old man with the face of a Chester? It's irresponsible parenting. Adults trust a childless old man with the face of a Chester. It's irresponsible parenting. You have no idea what this guy could do. Tom CPU, he creeps on women of all ages. He doesn't discriminate by life stages. Oh, Tom CPU, seriously, we all know what the CP stands for. You're a weirdo, Tom CPU. Please stop grabbing up people's children. Tom CPU, seriously, you're a walking advertisement for stranger danger. Tom CPU, I can't believe they let him out and out in public without an escort or ankle monitor. Please don't trust Tom CPU around your children.
Hello, hello. I think you're muted there. Pretty sure you are.
Literally every time.
Yeah.
Literally. Oh, wait, we're going to let Corrosive up here first. So we have people backstage, and like I explained this. If you haven't joined the anti-free Karen Reed group, FKR, if you will, you can go ahead and do that. If you want to join the stream, hopefully to have a conversation and not porn bomb us, although we will take either. You need to join that group and get approved in there. It's not my group. It belongs to someone else. Her name is Critical K. That's her group. But, you know, go ahead and join it. And if you can get in, if you know the password, if you answer the goddamn group questions, then you could get on the stream. After we explain what's going on.
Hey, bud, I see you opened with my new video, bud. I shot some video for it. It's trending on Kids Bop, bud. What do you think?
Oh my gosh, we should make an album cover for that song that emulates Kids Bop.
Hey, everybody.
This feels like the oldest of old school mass hole streams, honestly. Like, I remember the first stream that we ever did. I got a little nostalgic because of the low res camera in my shitty living room, right? Like, the first one that we ever did was like in an abandoned bank with a cell phone, and I was fat and greasy as shit because I had been working all day. It was really a horrible sight to behold. And I was reading court documents. It looked like a hostage video, pretty much.
Nice.
But it was that moment when we had been looking into something, and that euphoria of when the dots start to connect, when you start digging up the information and putting everything together and you start to get a clearer picture. And it's a bonus if it, sort of reinforces the hunch that you had in the first place, which is what has happened here to, well, the last couple of days, really.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Definitely the last few days.
Yeah. And thank you.
Oh, it's glorious.
The couch is not crazy as hell. Yeah, this is crazy as hell, but this is a blessing to us all. So where do we even start? Where do we even start with this? I think we need to go back to the very beginning almost, right? And the first free Karen Reed Facebook group. Okay. Mm-hmm. So early on in this, TurtleBoy starts writing obsessively about Free Karen Reed, and all that nonsense, pushing the conspiracy theory. We now know that at that time she's, filtering information, sometimes very sensitive, confidential trial evidence that should not be out there, like autopsy photos, and kind of cherry picking information, giving it to him and kind of giving the narrative to run with. We know that now. And we have information as of a couple days ago that confirms that's what was happening, because he admitted that finally.
Mm-hmm.
So this starts, and there is a Facebook group, the Justice for Karen Reed page, that pops up, and it is not TurtleBoy affiliated. There's some other mods. I think it bears mentioning at this juncture that although TurtleBoy was definitely the only person willing to aggressively jump into this conspiracy theory and pump out every last thing that Karen Reed wanted him to say, and obviously commit some pretty egregious acts in the name of this, there were other news outlets, real news outlets, not blogs, that were already covering the story and taking a slant towards the defense. They were clearly getting information, like, the ring cam footage of the car backing up, clearly from Karen Reed and her defense, right? Court TV. So I am not 100% sure that this Free Karen Reed group even popped up because of TurtleBoy's reporting, and seeing as the way that it ended with the moderators in there and TurtleBoy essentially being ousted from it, I would say that they probably didn't start really knowing who TurtleBoy was, or because of TurtleBoy. They were there because of Karen Reed and her charisma, right? Whatever.
Right.
So they have the
apparatus.
Yeah, right. Or money. I don't know. I mean, I can't. When you look at sort of like the genesis of the Facebook groups and stuff like that, the TikTok, all that, I think there's a variety of answers of how it happened. I don't want to get too conspiracy theorist here, but there is a possibility that these people were paid to start these groups. I'm not saying that is what happened, but it's definitely on the spectrum of things that I look at anyway.
It's not far-fetched given what
Right.
we've seen so far. It's not a wild conspiracy theory, no.
Right. So I'm not saying that is what happened, but I'm just saying that it went from very little interest in this case to, different platforms seemingly organically picking up the exact same narrative that just happened to be in line with what Karen Reed was planning to use as her defense down the line.
Yeah.
Whatever. So TurtleBoy's writing feverishly. He's, and this group is going. And obviously, because TurtleBoy is at the forefront of this, and as we've seen in messages now between Aiden Carney and Karen Reed, Karen was telling him, you'll get all the credit, you'll have all the scoops, you will be the face of this movement. So there's sort of this organic, I don't know if organic's the word, but there's a back and forth, right? So the group is sharing TurtleBoy content. TurtleBoy starts shouting out the group. And at some point, he becomes an admin in there because, of course, he would. He's a control freak. So he's in there, and at some point, some static pops off, and the original people who created the group and most of their administrators said, fuck this guy. He's crazy. He's insufferable. They're having problems with Karen as well in there, Karen Reed, because she had her hands in this from the beginning as well, the Facebook groups, and she was giving orders behind the scene. And we know this because we've seen screenshots where she's communicating with the admins and telling them who to let in, who not to let in, what to do, what to post. There was the incident with Victoria Vento. That was one of the mods in that group. I think she's a dog walker from somewhere on the Cape.
And famous OnlyFans model.
She's got a good OnlyFans, yeah.
I wouldn't call it good, but okay.
All right, yeah,
It's subjective.
A bitchy old queen. Anyway, but so she's in there, and she's got some problems with Karen Reed, and she Karen has a document at one point. I think it was the FBI. Right. It was the police blotter from the Bridgewater police, essentially documenting that the FBI went to the Bridgewater State campus to serve Colin Albert with a subpoena for what we know now as the federal grand jury. So she wants this information out, and she wants it out fast, and she tries to give it.
Free Jake.
I took him out right before this. Boomer can attest.
You did too.
But he's being needy. He's just crying for attention. Do you want to come here? You can stream with me. No? Okay. So So she wants this information out really quickly, and Aiden is, I believe, with his children at Canopy Lake Park or something. That's what it was. He was doing something that left him otherwise indisposed and unable to immediately acquiesce to Karen Reed's request. So she sends it out to a bunch of other admins in that group, Victoria Vento being one of them. I believe Nick and Jenna Rocco or others. And there's this push, get the information out. So one of the admin, who is not Aiden Carney, posts this information, and Aiden Carney is butthurt because he's supposed to get first and everything. And Karen is upset because she wanted it out fast. And that's, what had happened at this point. So this slowly starts to erode sort of the fabric of this Facebook group. And I think the tipping point was Aiden was using it to beg for money all the time. He was trying to financially profit from the group, as was Karen. And at some point, the mod said, enough, this is supposed to be a discussion page. Go fundraise elsewhere. So at this point, Nick and Jenna Rocco, two of the admins, say, okay, we're going to branch off and we're going to make our own group over here. So they make their own Facebook group. And TurtleBoy Aiden gets ousted from that Facebook group. He's very, very upset about this. He goes on like a 3-day manic posting, crying on live stream thing about how he got ousted from this group and it should be his because he writes about the case all the time, even though it was never his group to begin with. So that creates a problem, and he's screaming at people and he alienates people, and there's a schism. And Nick Rocco's group becomes the TurtleBoy official one, with him as the owner, and then they put on Aiden as an admin, and Aiden and Karen Reed are now essentially running this group is what's happening.
Right.
All right. Yeah. Okay. So great. So that group again is, used to fundraise a lot. Nick and Jenna Rocco take sort of the helm of the fundraising. They've been doing most of it. Most of it has consisted of illegal raffles. So in Massachusetts, the laws here are that you can only hold a raffle if you are part of a 501c3, right? You have to have a charity that you're actually a member of, I think a board member even,
Right.
some form of authority there. And you have to apply for a permit. You have the raffle. You need to pay a tax. I believe it's 5% lottery tax. And you can only sell raffle tickets to other people within your organization, right? So they're not doing that. They are doing these unlicensed, unregulated, essentially it's gambling is what it's considered. The Gambling Commission is what controls this. And they have, tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of $1,000s going in through all these different things. And some of it's on the up and up. Some of it's popcorn sales, like they're the fucking Girl Scouts or something. Some of it, what else were they doing? I think
Giving away somebody's timeshare in Italy for a week. They're like, transportation not provided, food not provided, but we've got a week in a timeshare for free in Italy if you win the 60-40 or whatever it is, stuff like that.
Which is gambling.
Yes.
Right.
It's a raffle. That's problematic. So they're already kind of engaged in some financial, I don't want to say
malfeasance,
right? It's not exactly on the up and up. It's unregulated. They're not doing it the right way. There's very little transparency with all of the fundraising. It's unclear where it goes to, who, and, what exactly is it funding? They claim it's for Karen's legal fees, but we know that Karen has paid for both of her attorneys on a flat fee, $200,000 and $250,000. I'm sure there's expert fees and stuff like that, but it's a little bit confusing. There's some talk behind the scenes. Karen tells some people, oh, this defense fund that I'm fundraising for is actually for a civil attorney. I've consulted with some civil attorneys, which is very silly and not going to happen. But besides the point, not what they're representing. So a little bit unclear there. So they have this group and everything is running fine. And they're handling, again, like hundreds of thousands of dollars. And at some point, there is a schism because Aiden goes to jail and Karen considers him a liability at this point, right?
right? Little public image nightmare,
or more.
Yeah.
Right? Because at this point now, he's been hit with 19 felonies and they all relate to her. And it's pretty clear that they all relate to her. And they haven't been doing a great job of hiding her influence over this, right? They're telling a lot of people who calls the shots. Aiden is allowing a lot of people to observe these conversations. He's taking screenshots of his Signal conversations with Karen. He's sending them around. He's bragging to people. He's showing this sensitive trial evidence to women that he barely knows because he's sleeping with them or exchanging them for nudes and whatever else. So this is a very precarious situation with him in the picture as to what otherwise would be a pretty well-oiled machine where they're intimidating witnesses, they're tainting the jury pool, and they're generating cash, right? and
Mhm.
everybody's making cash, and we're gonna hear from that in a little bit.
But they're doing with far less heat, right? And all of a
Right.
sudden, the big shift is now there's negative eyes on their movements.
Right. So we have this now sort of tension that's growing because Aiden is out, and Nick and Jenna Rocco, who have been handling the financial part of this, fundraising, dispersing funds, whatever else is going on, they are now in with Karen. They're seen out around town. There's pictures of them together. They're out at dinner. They go to court with Karen every single court date.
Yep.
Nick Rocco is on court TV every single night. He's now a regular guest, right? And this
Yes.
apparently upset Aiden.
Yeah, he figured his spot, that was his spot to have on court TV. He was
And
on
it was
there
his
prior.
spot to be behind her in court. He said that repeatedly. He said on his live streams, "You should kick Nick Rocco and other people out, and I should be
Rita,
able to
I think,
sit there.
yeah.
I've done more for this than anyone else. I broke this story." Like he
Right.
believes that even though he's the biggest liability and the one that the news is talking about, calling embattled blogger Aiden Kearney facing 19 felony charges. He's like, yeah, it should be all about me. Yeah, I want to be in court. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So apparently this schism gets to be too large at some point. And so at one point, what was it? Was it last night or the night before? I can't remember.
The past few days have been a
Two
bit of a
nights
blur.
ago.
2 nights
Yeah.
ago. Thank you.
2 nights ago.
2
Well,
nights
2
ago.
nights ago
I'll
when
see
we
that,
saw
though.
it.
Yeah. 2 nights ago, I get sent a screenshot, and it's Jenna Rocco's Twitter account. Actually, I should probably just pull this up, and show people. You'll have to bear with me because I am literally on a potato for a computer right now. It's not great. All right, we're gonna. I will tell you as I show you too. But so Jenna Rocco puts up a Twitter status. What do you even call them now?
Twat.
That it's freaking
It's a
X?
twat.
Is that what? No, like legitimately, what do you call them now that Elon Musk?
I have
has
no clue.
made it,
And
like,
I swear
sexual?
Elon named it that just so people would sit here and have this discussion and talk about his platform. I think everybody still calls him tweets.
That's, I mean, well played if that's the case. Well played indeed. All right, so I think I'm logged into my X on this. I can't even call it that. It's all right. So we're gonna go to my profile, I think, right? Yep. Okay, so here we
Yes,
are.
Nikki, Tom films on a potato and he films people's butts more than he films people's faces. He's
Listen,
kind of
yeah,
fucking weird.
I need to take my computer to get repaired, and I didn't have time today, unfortunately. So this is what we're stuck with. Either that or I could try it with a cell phone again, but that's not happening. All right, so let's go back. I've been tweeting a lot about this. So let's go back to the beginning because that's a pretty good place to start here. The first tweet. All right. Not Grant's fake empathy sad sack shit, though. I don't want that. All right. So this is what she puts up. And this is pretty good right here. She says, Dr. TurtleBoy does not support Karen Reed. That is a fact. He is a vile individual who deserves to be locked up. So this is sent to me, and I'm like, wow, those are strong words coming from Karen Reed's preferred I won't say spokespeople, but her preferred trial companions at this point. That's the people that she's closest to. So yeah, so they put that up, and then we look at the comments afterwards, and she says he doesn't give a fuck about Karen. He only cares about himself. And she says he is worse than I thought. So I go to try to like look at these on my own. I look up the account, and like lo and behold, this first tweet that she had sent has been deleted, but you can still see the replies over here. So I am a piece of shit, and I can see what's happening here, and I think other people should see. And I post it, and like, congratulations, figured it out. And then, so after that, what's the next thing that was posted? I gotta find the next thing that was posted. Why can't I find it?
I thought it was very out of character for her to be that confrontational. I couldn't help but wonder if she was maybe requested to do it.
It was, yeah. Oh, I pinned it to the top. That's why. So after this goes out, Nick Rocco goes to YouTube and he starts making claims in Tom CPU's chat. And we'll get to Tom CPU because he's involved in this whole. I'm just going to call it a criminal enterprise, honestly, because that's what I feel like it is. I'm not necessarily. I mean, I am actually making that allegation.
You're of the opinion that it may be.
Right. I do not know for sure, but more and more it is looking like this is a criminal organization where people are being harassed and intimidated. The jury is attempting to be tainted, and there's a lot of money going around. So, like, you know, when I put those factors together, I think criminal. You can think what you want. I don't know. So, you know, he goes in Tom CPU's chat and he's like, oh, TurtleBoy gave me a choice. Either get out of my Facebook group, take myself and my wife off as admin, or he's going to write a blog about me and Karen. And so later on, TurtleBoy goes live and he loses his ever-loving shit about this, right? Just freaking out about it, and it's not fair. You know, he knows that, I'm sorry, this was a comment that he had made actually on Facebook in the middle of this, that he knows that Nick Rocco is a mouthpiece because he was once Karen's mouthpiece too, and Karen just abandoned him when he was no longer useful, and he thinks it's a weak excuse that she can't associate with him because he's got 19 felony indictments because everybody else in her inner circle has also been investigated for witness intimidation.
Right.
Really sounds good, right? Like, good job, Karen. Your entire circle in this weird defense scheme you have going on has been intimidated, or investigated or charged for witness intimidation. Like, good job.
Yeah, strange pattern to find. Yeah.
Right. What are the odds? So he's upset about that. He's upset that Nick is sitting in court, won't give up his seat. So as a response to this, Jenna puts up this very long post. How do I make it bigger? Holy moly. There we go.
There's so many good answers to that question.
Oh my God, stop.
How dare you?
It's not. I don't know. Go to my Twitter because I can't get it to blow up, and I just don't think right now. But essentially what she says is that they got a call that, you know, Aiden was very jealous about Court TV. He was upset about the seats. He was trying to badger Nick into giving up his seat so that Aiden could take it in court. They tried to explain that's not how it works. He was angry about Karen. He made snide comments about them being on Court TV. He tried to pressure Nick Rocco into getting him on Court TV. Nick Rocco CC'd him in an email to the producers. They said, yeah, we know who that asshole is. No thanks. That made Aiden get extra angry and aggressive because now he feels like this has been stolen from him, I'm assuming. So he starts to threaten them. And the last straw is that he wants control of their Facebook account or the Facebook group, and they're like, fuck you, no, it's ours, right? Like, we're gonna run it how we see fit because we created this group. And now he's freaking out because it should be his group. He owns the Karen Reed story. So he calls them up. He threatens to blog about Nick. Nick says, go ahead and do it. This is their side of the story, right? Go ahead and do it. Fuck you. And then, you know, TurtleBoy goes to the next story. Well, I'm gonna fucking sue you for the Facebook page. And Nick Rocco's like, yeah, go ahead and do it, which most people would say because that's insane. And then the final thing that Aiden says is, oh, yeah, I'm going to go to Brian Tully of the Massachusetts State Police and ruin everything for Karen. And it's going to be all your fault because you won't give me this Facebook group. And that is what happened between them, apparently.
Let's see. Is that popping up at all? There we go.
I know.
Okay. Yeah.
Tech Wizard Boomer to the rescue.
I'm learning. Let me see here. I mean, that was a pretty good take on it, but where are some of the gnarly parts? Right here, Kate, there. But it kept getting worse. Constant text messages about how he needs to give up his seat in court so he can go. It doesn't work like that. And then harassing Nick for Court TV producers' emails. Yeah, that was part of it as well. When I was looking at the picture there, I couldn't see if you were muted or not there.
No, I'm sorry. I thought you were reading it.
Well, I was reading little bits, but I wasn't sure if you were still there. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can go on Twitter and see it. So why don't we bring some people in and discuss what we've discussed so far?
Yes, let's. Okay. Hello.
Howdy doody.
How
Oh, good,
goes
you
it?
made it.
I did.
I had terrible collaboration.
That's okay. Hey, can you put whatever link to this in the post that you made? People are asking for the link. Apparently the StreamYard link is gone. But if you
Oh,
can put the stream link in so people can from the group.
yes, I can. Hold on. I gotta
Thank
do it
you.
through my phone. I thought I put it up with like detailed instructions, like a disclaimer pretty much that this is a slightly inhospitable place and we let all the free Karen retards just roam free in the chat.
Well, it what you put in there was the StreamYard link.
Yes.
So is it on YouTube as well?
Oh, yeah. I
Oh.
thought I put the YouTube link in there. Maybe I'm
Yeah,
crazy.
go ahead and put the YouTube versus the StreamYard link. That way, if you get any super chats or whatever, you.
Oh, we don't really do that here.
Well,
we get
people,
media
I saw
attention.
people are super chatting you. I'm like,
Yeah.
good, oh, good. You know, let's get people in, and I mean, I'll debate any one of them. They want to come up here on panel. I mean, I'm ready to go.
To the
That's
to the free Karen readers in chat, we installed new windows for you guys to lick. Some of them taste like snozberries.
So what do you think about this Rocco TurtleBoy drama so far?
Well, I don't really know a whole lot about it. I don't really understand. You know, I've been so focused on the case and the trial. I can't stand Nick Rocco's face. He's such a typical gaslighter. He's smiling the whole time he's on,
Yeah.
and I just refuse to give Vinnie Politan my view. I just refuse to let it reach my eyeballs. I don't even want to see it or hear it. So I just stopped watching. And I can't stand that Sue O'Connell either that's on Canton Confidential. So I stopped watching that too. I mean, these people are also
Mhm.
disingenuous. They constantly repeat the same misinformation,
It's
the
all talking
same
points.
lies
Yeah.
over and over and over. They're like broken records. And Vinny doesn't challenge them, and nobody challenges Sue O'Connell. Vinny does. I mean, I guess Yellow Cottage Tales challenges Nick Rocco, but Nick Rocco just sits there and smiles, you know, while he just spews lie after lie. And I can't do it. I just don't even watch it. So I've been trying to read the Twitter X. I've been trying to read what's going on, but I'm glad that you just gave that little synopsis because I have a little bit better picture now. And I talked to someone the other day, like at length, someone that was close to Karen. I talked with them too, and I kind of got their backstory. So it's kind of rounding out a little bit for me, but I'm still kind of on the back foot with a lot of how she did this. I don't understand how she did this, how she managed to bamboozle so many people. So many. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but many of my longtime followers that I thought were really smart people, she even got to them. And it's disheartening for me because I thought I made an impression while I was in business on teaching people how to think critically. And clearly it just totally went out the window for these people. Like they totally went out the window and they've just gobbled up the conspiracy theory mess nonsense hook line and sinker. They look so foolish. They all look so foolish. I almost pity them, the stupidity. You have to be a special kind of stupid to believe that there's some massive conspiracy. All of these people are lying. It's utterly ridiculous and absurd. And you've seen it, Kate, the amount of people that come in the group, well-meaning people that haven't even read the probable cause affidavit. I mean, that's step number one. I get it if people don't have time to go back and watch all those hearings and they don't have time to read every single court document. But that probable cause affidavit is actually pretty good, you know, as opposed to like the Barry Morphew affidavit, which was like a novel. It was so long and so convoluted. this probable cause affidavit's actually really good, and it outlines pretty clearly the evidence that they have against her, and it's so strong. It's literally a mountain of evidence. So I don't know how people can, they just willfully, ignore that, or they've never read it, or they just act like they're totally obtuse about it. Well, all of that is just lies. All of that is just untrue. And it's impossible for it to all be untrue. It's absolutely impossible. And I think when Lolly finally gets around to putting up that strong forensic evidence, I think you're going to have a lot of people that are going to feel really stupid when they see that the telematics evidence and they hear her nasty, hateful voicemails to him in the moments after she, literally backed up into his head. There's going to be a lot of people who feel really stupid. And I always say people who get suckered in by this kind of stuff, who get suckered into this mob mentality, whichever way, whether it's on the defense or the prosecution side, I think those people, if they really took a moment to genuflect on their own life and their own relationships, they'll see that they're being fooled and lied to in other areas, that they've been swindled and gaslit by, whether it's their spouses or their kids or someone in their orbit. These are easily gullible people, and I truly feel bad for them. I don't hate them. I don't have any ill will towards them. I feel bad. I feel pity, because I don't know how you make it through life being, and I hate using that word stupid, but it's the only word I can come up. Ignorant. They're just ignorant. They're willfully ignorant.
I think it's a little bit complicated with this, because I think that I have encountered some people who either were initially kind of captured in by the Free Karen Read movement that later on kind of learn more and change their mind, or even some people that, still, I guess, lean towards their innocence. I think that this was such a contrived and well planned out campaign, right? From start to finish. I think that Karen and her defense team, and even some of the more malicious people that they brought out afterwards, kind of all came together to really do something that, at least on social media, works. We're not sure that it's going to work in the courtroom. I don't really believe that it will, but it could. It might work. But
the question is, why does it work? So that's why I always circle back around to why, because this case is not a mystery. I love mysteries. Madeleine McCann is a mystery. Jean Bonnet is a mystery. MH370 is a mystery. Where Hoffa is a mystery. This is not a mystery. When you read the probable cause affidavit, it is a clear-cut, intimate partner violence plus alcohol with the vehicle as a weapon. It's clear cut. It's right. It couldn't be more clear cut and simple. This is not a mystery. This is not like MH370, where you have a plane that disappeared and you have experts and people from all around the world going, what the hell happened? Where is this plane? We don't know where this plane is. There's so many different scenarios that could have happened with that plane. This is not that type of case. This is not that type of situation. This is so clear cut.
I don't think OJ was a mystery either. However, if you have a case like this, they had the perfect storm for building this conspiracy. One, they started with local people who had either A, gotten a ticket from the cops and didn't like the cops, or B, went to school with somebody from one of the families involved and didn't like them. Right. So that's who you rope in first. You get them active and vocal on local social media. You get them blasting to every Facebook group they can find, commenting everywhere, saying this. And then you start to rope in the people who are in social media and live on social media, people whose lives are there now post-pandemic. And they want to find something that they can be on the right side of. They can be, we're going to make history. We're on the right side of history. These people are wrong. And then it grows from there. And this is how you get flat earthers. This is how you build that insane conspiracy support. Rope in a couple of bloggers and YouTube personalities. And we know from people who have said, Kevin has said it, and Boundless Millennial has said it, over a year ago, Jackson was shopping for people who were on YouTube and other platforms who would take the defense's side and broadcast this. So this is very, very good manipulation. It's not, it looks like it's grassroots, but it's not. It is orchestrated from the beginning.
Right.
It's an apparatus. There's more than one big brain making those decisions on who to rope in and why and when. It's a
But
think tank.
why her? See, I can understand OJ and the OJ situation. I lived in LA when the OJ trial was going on, Rodney King and all that was going on. That was such a unique situation because, like you said, you had, first of all, OJ was tried in Los Angeles County. He was not tried where he should have been tried by his peers. And when it came to the civil case, he lost. But the vast majority of people believed him to be guilty. And the OJ case was so different from this because he was charismatic and he was likable. People, when they talked about OJ, when you met him, you would get seduced by his charm. They called it getting OJ'd. Karen Reed doesn't have that. She doesn't have that fame.
No,
but
she doesn't have that charisma.
She hired this. That's why her. She's hired this.
She has
the apparatus.
She wouldn't have any fans if she was not pretty.
She has
I don't even think she's pretty. She's 44. She looks bitter. Her eyes are soulless. I'm not even sure what people see there. There's no charisma. She sits there without an emotion to behold. She has no remorse for this man's death. And I haven't seen her shed a single tear. I cried when Paul O'Keefe testified. She was stone-faced. So I don't understand why her is what I'm trying to figure out. Why this
because she hired Jackson.
She hired it. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
She hired Jackson.
She hired and paid for it. The same with Johnny Depp. Same with Johnny Depp.
He did the same.
That's what I guess, and that's sort of why, like at this point, like, so we haven't been covering this case a ton as far as content goes. We do from time to time, but haven't really been producing content lately. Very rarely would we be doing a live like this, because mostly we've been kind of behind the scenes trying to like figure this out. And at this point, like, I don't ever come up and try to like convince Free Karen readers that she's guilty. I mean, like, the case is very cut and dry on its face as far as the evidence against her own admissions, the forensics, the physical evidence, the timeline of events, her behavior afterwards. I mean, there's circumstantial, there's direct, and there's forensic evidence, all, that implicates her. It's the apparatus behind it. And this is sort of a picture that we get here. Like I said, you've got these people, most of them creators. I mean, Nick and Jenna Rocco, they dipped their toes in. They've done a little bit of MAGA stuff. They've done a little TikTok and QAnon stuff. They've been on a reality TV show. You've got TurtleBoy, who obviously would do anything for attention and a little bit of cash, anything. And then you've got some of the other creators that kind of popped up. And we know because Yellow Cottage Tales, Kevin Lenihan, has been very forthright with. He started covering this from the conspiracy vantage point, and shortly thereafter, he was contacted by Karen Reed's attorney, Alan Jackson, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right. So they build this apparatus. And what we know is that there's a ton of money filtering through it. So this is an inference we're drawing at this point, but I think it's a fair one, that there are people that are disseminating this information that are getting paid to do so. And because, in theory, if they're getting paid, they are going to do so with extra fervor, right? Because this is a job, this is a paid gig. That sort of infects down to their followers and the people that trust them. And then, we obviously have the issue of the selective cherry pick. I mean, when I first started kind of paying attention to this case, it was early on, nobody was questioning it. It was like I get shit on all the time anyway, but really just ratioed on Twitter. I still do to a certain extent, but not like I used to. Right. Nobody was saying like, yeah, actually, I think she's guilty, which is insane because the conspiracy theory is literally, it's bananas. It's
but it's salacious and it sells. Right. That's why you get views if you run with it.
One of the first issues that we found is that probable cause affidavit. It's called the statement of the case in Massachusetts, and nobody had read it because it wasn't readily available. So all these outlets that were really covering this from the defendant's vantage point weren't really paying much mind to what the Commonwealth is filing, and certainly nobody was like releasing it. And so the only person that was really putting up documents at first selectively was TurtleBoy. He was getting them from the defendant. And in Massachusetts, it's difficult to get records unless you go to the courthouse. There's not a lot of stuff that's publicly available online, and the public records requests can be kind of an annoying and arduous process. The easiest way to do it is to go down to the courthouse. And so there's not a lot of people inclined to do that aren't mainstream media, especially in this area. So it just wasn't available. So the only information that people were getting very early on from this with the media blitz was what Karen Reed wanted them to know.
Truth be damned.
Right.
And truth be damned. And the apparatus doesn't function if you don't have the people willing to have their minds led astray.
Right.
See, that's,
and there's never a short supply of that.
And there's never a short supply.
Engineering.
Yeah, there isn't a short supply of that.
Cited.
But I've learned just by having the group and pushing the probable cause affidavit. You know, you have people, you come in there and ask, where was the shoe? Where was the tail light, the acrylic tail light? Read the probable cause affidavit. I got so sick and tired of saying that over and over again. And it never ceases to amaze me how many, again, well-meaning people who truly are curious, you know, they love a good mystery. And I raise my hand. I love a good mystery. I love a good true crime story and a whodunit. A lot of people do, clearly. And so a lot of these people are certainly well-meaning. And so maybe you're right. It's just that Karen Reed's that apparatus and that blitz, that sort of media blitz, was so strong. You know, it was like a tsunami and just, you know, kind of takes over. And that inability to think for oneself is unfortunately infectious, because once it becomes a group thing, once it becomes, we're a family.
It's comforting.
It's a place to belong. It's these people make friends. And if you then begin to deviate and listen, I'm a brand new baby Catholic. I just converted in the last year. And so some people might say, well, religion is the same thing. You know, it certainly is. You find a home and a family, people who love and accept you within your church because you're all believing the same thing. And so you can kind of take that psychology then and apply it. It's unfortunate that it gets applied to true crime cases like this, but I've seen it again and again. I've seen it in many, too many cases to even count. And it's worse in some than it is in others. And the only antidote that I've ever found is to just keep pushing the truth. And if you wake up 1 out of 10, if you pull the cobwebs out of the eyes of even just 1 out of 10 people, you're winning, because you slowly chip away. And I've always believed that if good people say nothing, then the evil wins, right? If she's convicted, we believe on our side that that's justice. And if we were to say, I mean, I'm not saying the jury's listening, they shouldn't be listening, but it's just kind of a shame that the good people and the people who had the truth and facts on their side didn't have that same momentum, didn't have that same push. There wasn't, and I think, like you said, Kate, when money is involved and attention and fame and unfortunately you have people like this Melanie Little, she's a lawyer, so she's going to have auto clout. People are going to automatically believe that she's telling them the truth simply because she's a lawyer. And that's just flat out false. Lawyers lie too.
And she's not even a criminal defense lawyer. She's a civil lawyer.
Yes,
so she's never argued a criminal case.
And she's absolutely the most disingenuous, one of the most disingenuous. There's a lot of law tubers.
She's a shitty actor too.
She is. She's incredibly disingenuous. I remember last month or 2 months ago when I first saw her, she was on, Vinnie Politan had her on, and it was her and Jennifer Coffindaffer and a couple other experts he had on there. I think, what's his face from Murdoch. And he went around the panel and he asked all of them, would you rather try Karen Reed? And 3 out of the 4 said, certainly they'd rather be trying Karen Reed. And she sat there and dug her heels in and said she'd rather be trying the 10 or 11 people in the home. I rolled my eyes so hard I saw the back of my head. I said, lady, you're completely disingenuous. And I don't know why you're saying this, but that makes no sense at all, that you would rather
lawyers
try
like
those
to
10 or
argue.
11 people than the person who last saw him. She knows the facts of the case. She knows. And I'm going to circle back to what I said about this being an intimate partner violence thing. The sad thing to me is that gets lost in all of this. And intimate partner violence and domestic violence is so common globally and in America. And the main victims of it are women, but that's not to say that men can't be as well. Obviously they can, but it's such a huge problem, and it's ruining so many families and marriages and relationships. That needs to be, it should have been the center of attention here and the center of focus for everyday folks to talk about, because it needs to be discussed. We need to dialogue that. We need to dialogue that is a problem, that when you add alcohol in, anything can happen and it can quickly become violent. Even if you're in a relationship that's you think can't become violent, once you get alcohol going in there and old problems begin to come to the surface, you become bickering, things like this can happen, and before you know it, you've destroyed your life and you've destroyed a bunch of other people's lives. And when you read that probable cause affidavit, it spells out very clearly an intimate partner violence case, period, end of story. This was a couple who likely were in love at one point. The relationship was disintegrating. They got into a fight. Alcohol fuels that anger and it lowers the inhibitions. And before you know it, because we don't know what happened in those moments prior to her going 60 feet in reverse. We don't know what he said to her. We don't know. Did he say to her, that's it, it's done, get your shit, move out? Did he say something that triggered her? We don't know what happened in those final moments.
There's a theory. There is a theory, and you've heard it through testimony develop a little bit. And again, we haven't been doing a lot of content on that, but we've been very, very, we've spoken about every person that is involved in this case. And so one thing that we've heard a lot, and it hasn't fully come out in testimony at trial yet. I'm assuming that they'll probably
hinted at it
a little bit. Yeah, is that a landmark that was used to direct John O'Keefe and Karen Reed to 34 Fairview was a woman named Ashley, who was a friend of John's niece's mother. And Ashley and John had dated in the past, and Karen reportedly was quite jealous of her. She was a little bit younger. She was arguably a little bit more attractive. And Karen was just obviously very jealous in general, insecure. So that's sort of the theory as to what sparked the argument. We'll never know for sure, but there are signs that kind of lead to that, again, circumstantially.
I think Lally is. Yeah, I do think Lally's going to flesh that out. I think he started to go there with the testimony about the Aruba, her temper flaring, her being triggered by that, and then in the testimony from, I think it was Carrie Roberts, where they said something about another girl and Karen flew off the handle. Who's that? So I think he is sort of kind of, unbuttoning that for the jury and sort of planting those seeds that it was probably jealousy that triggered her, but something triggered her. She knows what it is. And again, for people to be purposely misled from this very important topic, which affects everyone at some point in their lives, will be touched by domestic violence. Every single one of us will be touched, whether it's a sister, it's ourselves, it's our brother, it's our parents, every single one of us. It's a tragedy to me that we're being pulled, that the mob and the masses are being pulled away from that very important discussion and topic and led down this rabbit hole of nonsense. It's utter and complete nonsense. And I'm just the kind of person, my brain goes, well, why? There's got to be something even more to this than what meets the eye and what we're seeing. And you also have to add in, there's also another issue here at play, is this sort of tacit dislike of police and distrust of police. And I really think that Alan Jackson is sort of dovetailing on that, maximizing that in, playing on this distrusting of police. And that's exactly what OJ's dream team did. Arguably, they probably had more cards to play because Mark Furman is so despicable.
Right. Yeah. So I did want to hear from other people too, because we do have a couple other people. So I wanted to say welcome.
Yeah, bring them in.
Yeah, to our reformed Turtle Rider and Sumo, who's been here. How you guys doing?
Zumo dropped.
Oh, Zumo dropped. Who do we have in here? Oh, reformed Turtle
Reformed
Rider.
still here.
Yeah. Oh, okay. All right. Let's. Oh, they're in here twice. What is going on there? Maybe did we add the right one this time? Nope. Okay. All right, we're gonna drop them, I guess.
What's happening? We got duplicates.
Yeah, we got duplicates, and I'm not sure.
That's probably one of those what that was device not.
Yeah, at one point we had a bunch of people trying to
contact.
get in here too. Yeah, I'm not banning. I'm just kicking them. They can come back if that's gonna work. Why do we have duplicates of K too now? Though, this is very confusing. I'm gonna drop that one, kick that one, and then we'll keep this one that's actually in here. All right, we're good. All right, that was strange. So what else did we? A little off topic.
That was strange.
Yeah.
So schism in the fundraising and the public face of the Karen Reed defense is where we were.
Thank you. So we have this schism here. And I just really I found it very interesting more than anything else that the threat here that seems to be that has the Roccos, Karen Reed herself, and TurtleBoy all in a tizzy here is the threat that he is going to call the Massachusetts State Police. And he allegedly, according to Nick Rocco and Jenna Rocco anyway, specifically said Brian Tully, who is the Massachusetts state trooper who was assigned to his witness intimidation case. So we know, it's been building for a while. We were able to, because, piece together this information, pass it along as we need to, and ultimately get vindicated with 19 indictments here, because I think it was readily apparent from the beginning that the harassment and the intimidation was being led by Karen, right? So I am wondering what it is that they are concerned with that Aiden Carney could possibly say to the police, why he would feel that's a viable threat.
And can he even do that without harming himself? Because I don't see how. Clearly,
it was part of a deal he could take, possibly.
I don't think that that's on the table for him, though. I really don't. I do not see at any point.
When have you ever known reality to affect what he believes he can do?
That's true.
Fair point.
Well, here's the thing, though. I think they have two big fish on the hook. It's my understanding that they're both going to face charges for this, even if she's acquitted for John's death. She's still on the hook for this witness intimidation and harassment thing. They have two fish on the hook for this. As far as I know, Nick Rocco, is he even on the state police's radar? I don't even know. But it appears to me they want.
Well, he's one of the Canton Nine.
So he did engage, and I honestly, the case, I'm not surprised that they haven't really, they've kept that under advisement with these people, with the Canton Nine, as they call themselves. What a pretentious title! But their behavior was definitely, within the context of everything else going on, questionable. But I don't know that it's going to hit that statute, because they were just holding signs across the street. And obviously some of the signs were very inflammatory. And we know from our information, from, the case and the things that were kind of uncovered through you talking to Lindsay, talking to the people that we talked to, is that Nick and Jenna Rocco were sent down to D&E Pizza by Aiden Carney to try to circumvent the no contact order that was imposed upon him as a bail condition in the lower court, right? And we know that he wanted to give Nick and Jenna Rocco his YouTube password and have them log in and stream it on his channel before presumably he was advised that that's a fucking terrible idea. And we have the clips that we've gone over here where he's telling people at this time, well, read between the lines. I'm not telling you to go to D&E Pizza.
Right.
And it's a real shame that no one's going, right? Very, very.
I'm not telling you to go. I'm not telling you to go, but they can't arrest everybody. Just
right,
saying.
right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I mean, there's definitely some collusion there, and as we're gifted with this implosion between Nick Rocco and Jenna Rocco, we have Reformed Turtle Rider is back, and hopefully, hello.
Hey, how are you?
Oh my gosh, it's working this time.
Hello.
Hi.
Well, I can hear you guys and you can hear me.
Yeah, perfect. Welcome. So yeah, we were just talking about. So while we have that schism, we also have a side plot where TurtleBoy's girlfriend Meredith, the lovely lady that he met while he was incarcerated, and his wife had just found out that he was still cheating on her and had impregnated someone else, and then committed domestic battery upon them and had the affair outed to the entire world via the media. While that's going on, he meets a new girlfriend. Her name is Meredith. By all accounts, many people have now stated that she is a lunatic of the highest order.
Yes.
And it seems to be mirrored because now there is a disagreement between the girlfriend, Meredith, and some of the former fake paralegals that were on Aiden's team. Now, okay, this is like a whole different. This is like Free Karen Reed is almost run like a mini cartel, except instead of selling drugs, right? They're
selling popcorn and lies.
Right, and intimidating witnesses in murder cases. So TurtleBoy goes to jail. His bail is revoked. He's in there for 60 days. He's got this lawyer. The lawyer's he's a shady fuck in my humble opinion. And TurtleBoy wants to continue to write his blog and continue to taunt his victims, and he wants a connection with the outside world to continue his operation with this Free Karen Reed thing. But he's in jail. So what do? But they name I think 3 or 4 of his Turtle Riders, his fans. No experience in law at all. They are not educated paralegals. They have never before worked as paralegals. Suddenly, just like the girlfriends in the cartels, right? They're all paralegals. Every single one of them. And the lawyer goes in and he puts them on a list to have privileged phone calls. So they're not recording the phone calls with these Turtle Riders. And one of them is a woman named Courtney Healy. And while he's in jail, before the DA in the jail discovers the ruse and takes care of that, he had, I believe, 60 unmonitored calls with this one woman, Courtney Healy. And Courtney Healy, as we've now found out because of the battle between her and Meredith O'Neill and the screenshots that they're putting out there, Courtney Healy is hanging on to Aiden's cell phone. Aiden has told the police and the courts, I dumped my cell phone into a river because he wiretap girl, and the real recording is on his phone, as well as the edit that he made to make it look like there was consent. So he doesn't want that. Brilliantly sends out the original recording to several people. It ends up in my hands. Obviously goes to the police, right?
Things do.
And this phone is sitting with Courtney Healy, the completely uneducated, unlicensed, I don't even know if you need a paralegal license in Massachusetts, but unqualified paralegal. And at some point, there's friction there. So Meredith O'Neill is going to swoop in and she's going to get the phone, and she has to lie to Courtney Healy and say, I need it to do his taxes so that she can get the phone. So they're hiding this phone in this weird Manson chick underground railroad. Right. So that nobody can get the evidence of any further crimes that he has committed. So fast forward to now, apparently Meredith O'Neill is still pretty salty about those 60 unmonitored phone calls and what could ever be contained within them, and they start dropping screenshots everywhere. We also see through these messages that these paralegal team is discussing things like, oh my gosh, Karen Reed's cell phone just got seized, and they make the comment to each other, well, I hope they don't find anything on there. No, they probably won't. He's smart, and so is Karen, which sounds to me a lot like consciousness of guilt, right?
Just
so we're tying this together. We're seeing that there's a ton of money here, that there is some sort of organization to it. Everybody plays their role, and as things start to disintegrate, as they often can do in situations like this, where there's a ton of criminals that are getting together to do
to do what criminals do,
we're starting to see a better picture of it. And now I think we need to talk a little bit about motherfucking Tom CPU. Because this idiot,
oh my God.
another one of Karen's very ardent supporters. And this guy is like, he's creepy as hell.
What's his name? What's his name?
Tom.
Tom CPU.
Tommy DeRosia.
Yes.
Did he really say it's all about the money? I missed
He
that.
lets a little pee go when it's cold.
We're gonna listen to it. Ready?
When I'm cold, buddy, I just let a little pee go.
All right. Yeah. Here's the hot mic.
All right.
It's all about fucking money. I mean, come on, they made enough fucking money.
Everyone can make money on this.
Exactly.
Everyone.
We don't want to watch it.
We were smart. We all fucking, we were smart. We do members only. Everybody.
Yeah.
Hello? But no, we're not. We're playing fuck with stupid. Oh. Like, why?
Why is the Rockers going on the court every day? Why is Speeder going to the court? These fucking people been in the whole fucking thing. What's the matter
How
with
much money they raised? Karen? And him? And then you're going to yell at him? I don't understand.
Whoa.
There you have it.
Did a school bus drive by? I heard Tom go, oh, in the middle of that.
So who is this guy? Who is he?
Tom is this bizarre little character from Massachusetts who was once featured as a blog by TurtleBoy for attempting to publicly give away a Walmart tote full of new and gently used sex toys and lube and edible underwear and offering to teach people how to use them. And TurtleBoy wrote a whole blog about him, called him, I don't remember what it was. Somebody's got it. I don't remember what the actual thing was, but then Tom did the whole, like what usually happens with TurtleBoy is they try and get redemption from in his eyes. So they turn into his good little soldiers. And he started sending Tom out to live stream on the sidewalk for this stuff. And Tom just wanders around with a camera, mutters into it the whole time.
Literally
usually
live
filming people's
the sidewalk.
Literally filming people's butts. He's like, oh, I don't want to show any faces, so I'm going to film here. And then he films people's butts the whole time. He's a really weird little dude. And he's got this deep, deep obsession with Karen. Like he ran up to her one day with like 24 roses and handed them to her. And you could see the disgust on her face. And when she's walking into court in the morning, Tom gets right behind her and films her. And I think he's catching the hair that keeps falling out of her bald spot. And he's probably got some weird doll he's knitting out of it at home.
Probably.
So do we think that Karen is turning on Aiden?
It seems like she's cut him off because he's a clear liability. She's been very close to a woman by the name of Jennifer Altman. Jennifer Altman is sort of the one that got her, her and her friend initially hooked up with Aiden and kind of vouched for Aiden and got the whole TurtleBoy mess rolling, right? Jennifer Altman, who's still very involved with TurtleBoy because she has absolutely no remorse and no shame. So she gets them involved, and Karen gets kind of close to Jen Altman, I guess, because she was really Karen's first defender, and confides in her. So at some point, maybe around like December-ish, November, December, after Aiden has been charged, maybe even December after he's been indicted, really, she starts to confide in Jennifer Altman, who tells other people that she does not trust Aiden as much anymore, that she's concerned about this. She's concerned about the ramifications. And so she starts to kind of voice that she wants to separate him from him. And obviously when his bail was revoked, that was sort of the last straw there. Now you've been to jail. You're just too much of a liability. Domestic violence charges, wiretapping charges, more witness intimidation charges. It's just not a good look for her. So that's sort of where it starts. And I think, when you kind of look at, the jailhouse love letter, more witness intimidation. Sorry, honey. So when you look at the jailhouse love letter that he wrote to her.
I read that. Yeah, I read that.
Right. I think he still kind of holds out hope in that sort of narcissistic manipulation here, love bombing her. I can tell you that when I quit his blog in 2020, I got similar communications. Oh, you're my friend, and I don't know what I'm going to do without you, and you've just helped me so much, and I'll always be eternally grateful. He told me I would pay you $200 a month just to be my friend and confidant. I'm struggling right now. Things are so hard, and the only person I have to talk to is you. And then obviously when that didn't work, then I get the full brunt of his narcissistic injury from now perpetuity, like every time. So and when Leah Jaduso broke up with him, same thing, he groveled and I'm going to kill myself and I can't live without you, Leah, and I've never loved another woman like you, Leah. So I think in his personal relationships and his quasi-professional relationships and his romantic relationships, he always uses the same tactics. Grovel and I'm going to kill myself and I can't live without you, Leah. I've never loved another woman like you, Leah.
Rogue, you got to
Someone
turn
has
your
an open
YouTube off,
mic.
buddy. You got to turn your YouTube off.
So you see him use these all the time. And I think that if history says anything, that when that doesn't work, that love bombing, that manipulation, that then Aiden goes on the offensive. I do think that you're right, though, and this is a particularly precarious situation. How does he lash out at Karen Reed like he usually does with people, while still keeping himself safe from further criminal charges and also maintaining his reputation that he's built here with this free Karen Reed thing? Because you'll notice now in his posts, he's saying things like Karen Reed is not beyond reproach. I broke this story without Karen Reed, which is not true. I'll continue on without Karen Reed. So he's clearly angry and bitter about it, but he can't really lash out at her without damaging himself. And I think in some ways the Roccos are becoming those proxies, right? Like he's going at them because he can't really get to Karen except to threaten to turn her in for I don't know what.
Well,
maybe a bit of mutual assured destruction, though, right? He's definitely not just throwing the full volleys. He's he's attacking the proxies first, but it's in stages too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He can't really. I don't know what he could do to her without completely sinking his own ship. Right? I mean, I don't know.
Maybe he could pull some flammery where he goes, I was bamboozled, I was lied to, I'm going to testify to everything she told me and how it was illegal, but I don't know if that's going to work. And you've also got the weirdness of he's going live, and like he did the brilliant thing tonight again, like he always does, of going, let's go through my charging document. I'll show you everything I did, and showed every single thing that they charged him for. He replayed it and went, I don't think that's illegal. So he's claiming it's not illegal. His lawyer's claiming it is, but the law is wrong. So they're not even on the same page about what they're fighting against in court. So I don't think I mean, he has this threat of I could roll on her, and he said that a couple of days ago and then immediately walked it back. But I don't know that he can. I don't know that he can actually. It's like, yeah, great. So now you've admitted you were part of the conspiracy. Wonderful. Now wait your turn and get tried like everybody else.
Right.
I don't feel guilty. Meh.
You know what I hear a lot, you guys, is that I'm a reformed writer, and Kate knows that, and she and I have had conversations, and what really did it for me was the pocket recording that he did with Lindsay, and the way that he came across to her just so out of character, like just calm down and just take it easy. And the way, I don't even think I used the word gaslighting in my life until I heard that. And then he gets arrested, and he'll stand up on every platform he has, every live show he does. I went to jail for Karen Reed. No, you didn't. You went to jail because of an assault charge. That's why you went to jail. Not because of Karen Reed and all your intimidation charges. That's not why you went to jail. And he really believes what he says.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It wasn't for Karen Reed. It wasn't because of Karen Reed. He didn't take a stand for Karen Reed.
Testing.
There you go.
Who's a K9er, dude?
K9er! Wait, did this work?
Yeah.
Am I still echoing or am I good?
No, you're not. You seem good.
You're
Oh,
good.
it's good now? Oh, I shut all my apps off.
You know what, guys? Look, that did it for me. Like, Jesus Christ, he's an abuser. He's definitely a gaslighter. Jesus Christ. Why would Karen Reed? She has to dissociate from him with those charges. The intimidation charges have nothing to do with it. It's the Lindsay charges. And I think that she had to distance herself.
Well, I don't think she can afford to really I mean, distance maybe, but I don't think she can really afford to burn him either
No,
because
right.
he probably has a lot on her. I have a question, something that I'm really curious about, and it's slightly off topic of this, but I think what has also been kind of influential for a lot of the freakers is this concept that a federal investigation was started, the feds investigating the investigators.
Well, they did.
Right.
And I had a conversation with someone about this the other day that is in the know, who told me a little bit about this Josh Levy, because I was kind of the mindset that Karen knew him, but in reality, it's Yannetti, right?
And her dad.
Yes, you
And
have.
Karen's dad.
Karen's dad knows Josh Levy?
I think so.
No, what?
Because he was.
He
It
does
wasn't-
now.
I thought I had read somebody had traced it back to the fact that Levy had some affiliation to the school that dad was the dean at.
I don't think that was very. I think that most
That was Grant.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what
Grant.
is the
All right.
truth?
Oh.
Never mind.
who-
then.
No.
We'll put that on hold then.
Yeah, never mind then.
Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
the father. The most.
But there is a
come up with-
connection with Yannetti. for
Yannetti,
sure.
right. So
Yes.
Levy and Yannetti actually worked for the Suffolk County DA's office. There was an overlap there, as well as the former Attorney General for Massachusetts, Rachel Rollins, who was unceremoniously ousted for some questionable behavior. Yannetti was actually on her transition team when she was the district attorney for Suffolk County.
So are
And the
Yannetti and Levy friends?
We don't know.
Maybe like we're coworkers at one point. And you got to remember the investigation into the Norfolk County DA started under Rollins, not under Levy. So that
But we
had
don't
already,
know that. We
There's a
don't.
lot.
Levy is friends with Yannetti.
Levy is
thought
friends with Yannetti?
Yes, they worked in the same
I-
office.
See, and this to me is kind of pivotal because that investigation is really puzzling to me. I don't understand why the feds under what theory do the feds stick their snouts into a domestic violence with a vehicle being the weapon and alcohol. Sorry, my puppy's chewing a Tupperware container. Under what theory do the feds start sticking it around their snouts around into such a basic case that they have absolutely zero jurisdiction over? That to me is really puzzling and has bothered me from day one, because they've been able to use that. The freakers have been able to use that as, well, see, there's something, it's shady and there's something going on. These people are all covering up. This is dirty police. And that's why the feds are investigating, as if the feds themselves aren't dirty and don't have their own issues, right?
Especially in Massachusetts.
Mhm.
So the reason that they could look into it is because, one, you've got the feds investigating a bunch of different stuff with the state police, with the DA's office. So you had the feds busting the state police on the CDL scandal. There was another one that they popped a couple of people for like ticket fixing or something. They're obviously looking into the Sandra Birchmore thing.
No, no. Ticket, no. So there is a CDL license. No. So the issue with the state police actually goes back quite a ways. They've been definitely entrenched in some scandal in more recent years. I'd say from like 2016 to present. There was an issue with an overtime scandal. They were collecting overtime they weren't entitled to. More recently, it's not ticket fixing. It's that they were essentially doing pay to play for CDL licenses. So you could go in as a completely unsafe, unqualified driver to get your CDL, and they're going to pass you because so and so is going to pave their driveway for free or give them a state center. There was bribery involved. So, there was another issue where there was a state trooper that had moved up to the K-9 ranks. Turns out that she was involved in a drug trafficking, marijuana trafficking. I like her, so I'm not gonna. But yeah, she was involved in a marijuana trafficking case when she was 18 years old. She wasn't charged, but she took immunity and testified against the boyfriend, and that was overlooked or not reported on her application. And she ended up rising the ranks. It was found out about that was a huge scandal too. So the Massachusetts State Police don't have the greatest track record with the feds anyway. And then there's that added layer of there's some sort of familiarity between Yannetti and Levy that we can trace back to them working together. And obviously there's maybe some animus with Rollins as well. We don't know when the probe started. What we do know, confirmed by TurtleBoy himself, though, in one of his live streams, is that Yannetti is the one that approached the DOJ, the FBI, and he's the one that sort of initiated this probe. What we do know is that the probe went on for probably about a year, and that no targets were ever named, and that no indictments ever came.
Yeah, it's resulted in nothing.
Right.
And you can't tell the freakers that. You can't say to them, well, you know, it appears as though this was some sort of maybe quid pro quo, or this was a favor being called in, like, you know, because Yannetti's not a dummy. He knows that if he has that sort of ground to stand on to say, you know, this smelled so bad that the feds stepped in, you know, he knows he's got some leverage if he says that, and that's more fuel to the fire to the mob online, you know. But it's just curious to me why they even probed it at all. And if you tell them, it came to nothing. Judge Canoni said that in one of the last hearings. She has all this stuff in front of her, and there's really no impropriety other than what Proctor saying jokingly, saying something about looking for her nudes.
I mean, yeah.
But what were the improprieties? I mean, what was even the basis of it?
I don't think my understanding of that, and I think what's going to come out in testimony, you know, because I'm assuming that's going to be attacked by the defense pretty hard, is that Proctor was not even the one that necessarily sent the text about the nudes. That was a text that he received. I think there's some pretty off-color, nasty texts. My anticipation is that it's through testimony we're going to find out that some of those nastier texts that he wrote about, you know, calling her names and hoping that she would unalive herself in Minecraft came after all the witness intimidation. So although it might not be the most warm and cuddly and kind thing to say as a police officer with the suspect, she was already far since I indicted by then. And there was definitely a reason for the animus. And again, these were personal text messages. They weren't
right. They're gonna try to Mark Furman him. I think we all see it coming. And there's no way that Lolly's not calling Proctor. There's no way. I see some rumbling about that, and that's just flat out false.
I think there's a possibility that, and I'll tell you, it's a tactical decision if they make it. So when you call a witness, if it's your witness and you're doing direct, you can't ask leading questions and you can't badger your own witness. If you're doing cross, then you're permitted to ask leading questions and badger a little bit, right? So tactically, if you know that you have a problematic witness in Michael Proctor with some of these texts, right, then you may want to let the defense do direct on him so that you can lead him through cross.
But he's their lead investigator. I don't know how they can.
Easy. Yuri sat beside him through everything. There were the other two guys.
Oh, you think they're going to use just Yuri Buchanan? You think they're going to?
Because I don't think there haven't been. I haven't seen any allegations about Yuri knowing anybody, being related to anybody, being corrupt. And let's also remember, by reports, Proctor immediately notified his superiors of who he knew in the town and what connections he had, and they went, "Yeah, that's fine. It's not close enough to be an issue. You're the lead investigator." So it's not like anything was hidden. The defense has made a lot of hay out of that, but from everything I've seen, it's simply not true. But Buchanan, nothing like that. So they bring Buchanan in, who hasn't.
Right. Yeah. I kind of forgot about him because not a whole lot of muckety muck is raised about him. So that's interesting. You're probably right. Then maybe they won't. Maybe they'll let the defense call Proctor. And they'll kind of let Proctor, twist in the hot seat for a little bit and then wrap it up in the end and say, look, yep, Proctor might be a bad egg. There might be some issues with him, but he wasn't the only, that this was a team investigative effort or whatever. I mean, I can see them doing that. And, that might save things. But they're going to try to Mark Furman this guy completely. Is it going to work? I don't know. I don't know what they have on this Proctor guy. I mean, what else do they have?
Just out of left field here, but I think it's Kay, your gain might be high on your mic.
Oh, is
Yeah,
it?
it's clipping. It sounds like it's popping. It sounds like it's it's maxing
It's
out
just
on the
my
volume.
phone mic. Is that better?
It's people were complaining, so I turned her down a little bit.
Oh, you
Is
did?
that
Okay.
better?
It is. I
I think
took
so.
care of it.
Yeah.
Boom, are
Sounds
you
great.
complaining about things that you don't need to complain about? Because I already
I
took
might be altered right now. It's late.
Well, is that better though? If I hold
Yeah,
the
no,
It
phone
is.
up a
Yes.
little bit.
It
Yeah.
it
is.
was
See,
better
I'm used
before
to
you even said
using.
anything.
Yeah, I'm used to using my podcasting mic. What I was saying is, I can see them trying to mark Firm in this Proctor. What else do they have on him? Does
I
anybody
mean,
know?
the suggestions of these close familiar relationships, which again are being grossly overstated. I think that's kind of come through in testimony so far, that like, his connection to the Albert family is that his sister is best friends with the wife of Chris Albert's sister.
Whoa.
Right. So Chris Albert is married to a woman. That woman has a sister. That sister has a friend, and that friend is Michael Proctor's sister.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
In a small town, even I can't fucking believe what you just said.
Let's remember, Canton has 22,000 people living in it. That's 1/3 of the capacity of the stadium that the Patriots play at. So it's not a big town, folks.
Yeah, it's a
Right.
Metallica concert.
They were able, and that's really, I think, why they're pushing so hard for Colin Albert, is that they are at this point only permitted to pursue really a Bowden defense. They haven't gotten the okay from the judge to go with a third party. So the Bowden defense is essentially arguing, you don't know that it's my client because there was this lead, and this lead, and the police failed to investigate those leads, right? And that's why, as the conspiracy is coming up, in theory, the defense is sort of announcing its strategy, and the investigators are going back and following those leads along the way. And I'm sure that probably at closing statements, Lally will probably wrap it up to something that's the fact is like, every time that you threw out a suggestion, we investigated it and there was nothing there. That's what I would do. That's what I would point out to the jury. But that
would damage Bowden for sure.
So to try to build that sort of motive for the failure to investigate leads, as well as to try to overcome a lot of the physical and forensic evidence, they need to find a motive within the Massachusetts State Police. And the only thing that it was Karen herself that found this, and we know this because of the first Boston Magazine article with Gretchen Voss. Karen was up late at night and she was searching through the people involved with her case, and she finally finds that Colin Albert was the ring bearer in Michael Proctor's sister's wedding, and they were all at the same wedding together when he was 10 years old, right? So now they have to try to fit Colin into this and say, well, Colin was a viable lead, but you didn't investigate him because you have a conflict. And I don't think the connection is so peripheral, it's so loose that I don't think that that's a really good motivation for Michael Proctor, and they've really failed to show any means, motive, or opportunity for Colin Albert to have killed this man. So I think that's a big stretch, but again, they keep trying and trying and trying, and I really do think that, you'll notice with Free Karen Reed, they use words like incestuous a lot, close personal friend. These are not true. Like, there's no incest going on between any of these families. They're not all close personal friends, particularly the Proctors and the Alberts. And you'll notice that the defense will often say when they're when they were cross-examining members of the Albert family, they would say things like, you're close to the Proctors, right? And they're not differentiating which Proctors they mean, right? Because right, it's not Michael Proctor's immediate family when they're talking about the Proctors. So I think that they've really put themselves in a hole with this, and they can try to Furman Proctor, but even the text, from what I understand, what I've heard about it anyway, which I don't think they're very compelling to say that this man had a conflict from the beginning and was out to get Karen Reed, but they're going to try it anyway.
Well, my understanding of what the judge said was, you can't go with the third party, but you can elicit testimony to support it. And they have failed to do that.
I think
they're trying though.
Yeah.
They're a third party culprit from my watching of the of the testimony so far and trying to be as neutral as I can, which granted is not terribly neutral, but so far their third party is everybody that testifies is somehow involved, just not Karen. It's
Right.
ridiculous.
It
And we're
is.
not
It
sure
is. And if
how,
I were on the
but trust
jury, I'd
us.
be. Yeah, if I were on the jury, I'd be saying, well, who? You know, you want me to think this Colin? You want me to think Brian Higgins? You want me to think
Right.
Brian Albert? You want me to think Jen McCabe? She's the one who Googled this. You want me to who? Jury
Well, it used to
all of
be
them.
Colin, was a super scrappy kid. He knew how to fight. Now it's, oh, look at these videos where he's sparring with his friends. He doesn't know how to fight.
Albert.
It always changes, right? And just a question for the people that believe in the conspiracy theory out there. If it was a conspiracy theory, why didn't anyone say they directly saw Karen hit him and go from there? If they're all going to lie and the target was to put her away and frame the woman, right? You'd think if it was a conspiracy theory to frame, they'd take it all the way.
It would have been a lot easier if they had done it that way. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
None of it holds up.
I'm heading out so you guys can bring somebody else on. I'm going to go to bed.
Baby, come back.
Have a great evening.
You guys are
You have
great,
yourself a
and
gooder.
thanks for the reform. I appreciate it.
Anytime. Thanks.
All right. Take care, guys. Good night.
See ya.
Good night.
So, do we have any free Karen Reed people in the chat?
Oh, there's a bunch.
They
Oh,
always
I'm sure there's got to be a few.
I do not moderate. I let them in. It's a free for all. I usually will sometimes acknowledge if they shit down my throat, like that's fine, but they're allowed to just spew in theory, I let just about anybody come up on the panel. Most of them won't. I've noticed that they're really got that Twitter gangsta thing going on, but when it comes to actually speaking words out loud, they can't do it. It's an open invitation all the time.
That or we'd figure out who they are, because I really do think the funny thing about Twitter is I watch Twitter and I'm in a lot of these arguments with these idiots. And it's funny because I'll be arguing with somebody and then I'll get a notification that somebody liked 12 posts that were arguing with me and they like all 12 of them. And then an hour later, somebody else comes on, likes all 12 of those posts again. And I realize it's probably one person cycling through Twitter socks and just going to throw hearts on things. So they go, dude, you got ratioed, bro. You got ratioed. Like I give a damn.
Yeah, it's not even worth the time, man.
Well, and another thing to remember too is that how many of these accounts are even real? Because with a touch of a button, any kid, any 17-year-old who knows what they're doing can create 10,000 bot accounts.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think there's too many 17-year-olds. It's much more a bunch of 40-something, 50-something.
Yeah, north of 50 on average.
These are the same people that have every day free to be tailgating on a sidewalk in Canton with pom-poms cheering and singing, and following Karen down the street with pink pom-poms cheering and for a accused murderer. Where are we at in this country that this is how people behave around a murder trial?
Well, I think also the police angle is very captivating to people. And I think, on one hand, they're kind of holding John O'Keefe up on this pedestal as a murdered officer. Although, he was an officer and he was murdered. It was not in the line of duty. Nobody should have been. I remember Melanie Little saying they should have been yelling officer down. Well, it's not what happened, so no, right? And on the other hand, they're devaluing and really the distrust of police leaked through, right? Yeah. You'll hear more than anything else, it was a cop found on another cop's lawn, right?
Well, yeah. Decorated Boston cop found dead on cop's lawn, who is also a decorated Boston cop. I mean, that's what they forget.
Right.
Brian Albert's also a decorated cop, and there's no indication that Brian Albert is some kind of cold-blooded murderer. And even if he is, I have a real hard time believing a federal agent. Let's just assume Higgins and Albert were involved in this, which is what they seem to be trying to imply, though they can't figure out who did what. You've got a decorated ex-military ATF agent and a decorated cop go, dude, this guy died. How can we get rid of him? I know, we'll throw him on the lawn and say a plow hit him. I mean,
yeah. Yeah,
It-
I'm with you with that too. That blows my mind, right? Like, come on, you'd think you'd have a better go at creative writing than that.
the whole
It's
theory is
too
so contrived. And again, thank you very
Yes,
much, Kimmy P, the aforementioned free Karen Reed people. And he never came out. But again, like I really feel like within this conspiracy theory, you're holding people to an unrealistic standard of how they would behave or respond in a situation like this. Particularly where you've heard so much testimony from so many people that were actually there this morning. They're not the only ones that didn't come out of their house. No one on the street came out of their house. It was the middle of a blizzard. John was taken out very quickly from the scene. They started, life-saving efforts, resuscitation efforts. They came in with lights, but no sirens. It was early in the morning. It was dark. They had been out drinking all night. Like, it is perfectly reasonable that they did not wake up to this and go outside the house. No one on the street did. And then, by the time that they are awoken by Jen McCabe, and this is also corroborated by the fact that in the video, you see Jen McCabe enter the house. A few seconds goes by, maybe a minute, and then the lights upstairs turn on. That's indicative of people just waking up, right?
Dude, I once slept through 2 police cars pulling up and cornering a guy who was trying to break into a trailer on my car directly in front of my house, which is about 15 feet from my window, chase him into my backyard, put a canine on the dude, catch him, put him in the car, and then bang on my front door trying to get my attention. I slept through all of that and didn't find out until my neighbor came over and said, here's the police report from last night. They left it with us. It's easy to sleep through stuff. It is really easy.
Well, especially no siren, and you've been drinking, you're passing out pretty much. You're done, and you're not in your 20s, so it's after that drinking. You're older, you're tired. No sirens. You got to remember, no sirens.
Well, and then they throw in the dog not barking. Well, I had a German Shepherd mix, and the garbage truck. We would have things going on in the cul-de-sac. She knew better than to start tearing off, barking, and waking me up. German Shepherds are smart like that. I mean, unless
that friggin' dog.
Unless it directly involves them, their family and them, they're not going to just start. They're not like chihuahuas. They're not going to go to the window and start, barking at what's going on outside. It's not normal.
Again, the whole neighborhood didn't come out. Oh my goodness.
Well, wasn't he found kind of on the property line?
Yeah, if you look at so this is another thing that they're doing. If you watch, the prosecution is using actual photos and actual video of 34 Fairview. The defense keeps using this computer recreation of 34 Fairview that Microdots made. It is disingenuous.
Massachusetts, you mean?
That's the guy.
Yeah.
Richie Keogh, who has been claiming for 8 months that he was placed on Alan Jackson's payroll, but the only discernible thing that he did was a shitty render of the property that is inaccurate. But he also shut up for almost every single documented case of witness intimidation with Aiden Carney. That one, right?
Richie Keogh, who tried to hop over a security barrier, caught his foot in it, and face planted right in front of Karen one day.
I saw that. He ate shit. Yeah, he did.
But anyway, if you look at that image they're using, it makes the lawn look smaller, closer to the house, and flat.
Yeah.
It is not flat.
Yep.
To the left of the property, if you're facing it, there is a lower spot right by some trees, behind the flagpole, a large bush. I think there's a smaller bush. There's a fire hydrant, an electrical box, and it's sort of a low area. The street light in that area is on the other side of their driveway, so it is 70 feet down the road. It is not terribly visible from the front window. It is not visible from the front door. Coffin Dapper proved that when she went up and stood on the front porch and took a picture in that direction. So this whole concept that anybody looking out of the front window would have seen this, it's not necessarily true. There's a lot of obstructions in the way. It's a dark area. And if you're not looking for a body, you're probably not going to see one.
Well, we're talking about just not coming out of the houses, and again, like, they slept through it. And then Kimmy P says, right, okay, so she agrees with me there. Thank you, Kimmy. But Brian Albert owned the house and is an officer. Even when he was told what was going on, he still didn't go outside. Okay, Kimmy. So I just want to because he testified to this, his answer was reasonable. I don't know if you've ever had this moment, but you're driving and maybe you're speeding a little and you pass a cop and you're like, oh shit. And then you cross over the town line to the next town and you're like, They can't get me now, right? Jurisdiction, right? So a cop I live in North Attleboro, everybody knows that. So a cop in North Attleboro cannot pull me over in Foxborough, and a cop in Foxborough cannot pull me over in North Attleboro. They stay within their jurisdiction, right? So Brian Albert is a cop in Boston. This is something that is occurring in his house in Canton, and he's off duty, so it's not his jurisdiction. He's not in uniform. He has absolutely no business traipsing through that crime scene. That would be problematic. And he said that. It's not my investigation. It wasn't my crime scene. There was nothing that he could do as far as rendering aid, because by the time that he was awoken, John was already leaving on the ambulance. The
That's
first
correct.
responders had already gotten to him.
He was on his way out.
He didn't have any, could not render any life-saving aid, which, not knowing the guy that well, but knowing of him and people in his life and stuff, I believe that if he had happened across a incapacitated John O'Keefe on the side of his property, he would have attempted life-saving measures the best that he could, and he would have called 911. That's what Jen McCabe did, right? So it's very silly, this argument that he didn't come out of the house, he didn't wake up. Okay, the neighborhood didn't wake up. Nobody did. So that's really not that odd. I mean, if it would be a little bit more odd if he was the only person in the neighborhood that sprung awake. And
I was going to say, yeah. Could you imagine he's the only one in the neighborhood?
Well,
he wakes up, he runs down there, after he sees John is being, taken away. He goes, I know, I'm just going to traipse through the crime scene. That wouldn't feed into the conspiracy at all, would it? He has no reason to. Nah.
Here's the thing. If I was writing this as a murder mystery and I wanted to make Albert actually the culprit, I would have him burst out of the door as soon as somebody showed up and jump on John, because that way you eliminate any chance of them finding your DNA and you being the suspect. Well, it's on there because I was rendering life-saving aid, sir. The fact that he didn't come out,
just launch himself out there, that wouldn't.
But
look
I'm just
weird.
saying, if there's this thing where the people who commit the crime are, in a lot of cases, and this is a real thing, they are involved in finding the people. They're hanging around the scene. They're talking to the cops about it. They're inserting themselves in it.
Like Karen.
Correct.
Karen threw herself on him, pulled her shirt up and threw herself on him like she was going to warm his body up with her body heat, and her claim that she was the only one trying to save his life, when we now know that's a complete lie. She's the one who did that. But she's smart enough to know that she cannot be the one to find him. She had to pull in these other people, right? I mean, she had to do that to distance herself.
Well, yes, and I think also I do want to say that, like, this is where I'm at right now, and my opinion is colored by knowing what I know outside of what's going on with the trial through pre-trial motions, as well as the kind of the concurrent case with the witness intimidation, her behavior the morning of, afterwards, a year later. So I'm trying to be as objective as I can and keep it to the courtroom, but I am colored by what I know. But this is what I can say about, like, as far as what's come out in trial right now. I think there is a maybe not very strong, a moderately strong actually it's pretty strong circumstantial case for vehicular manslaughter, the OUI, on Karen right now. I think that you can look at her behavior, if you look through it in the least flattering light to her, as extremely incriminating and self-serving and tinged with some intent or knowledge, right? You can also look at it as someone who made a terrible mistake and then realizes it as they sober up in the morning. And I think that if I were on the jury at this point, that's where I would be leading to, because she's absolutely frantic in the morning. She's showing concern, remorse. She seems to know what happened, but she seems to be putting it together in real time, right? She seems genuinely distraught. I don't think that was all necessarily an act. Now, I think what it's going to come down to is what they can show for that vehicle reconstruction, as far as what they think happened with the accident. If they can show enough compelling evidence that she behaved in a way that was so reckless and so negligent that she should have known or did know that it could have grievously injured or killed John O'Keefe, it's a little bit stronger for murder too. But I think right now, like, her jumping on him and trying to warm him up, I don't know that. I mean, there would be no reason to seal any DNA on him. They were intimate partners. They were together that night in close proximity. It was her car that actually killed him, not her bare hands or anything like that. So I think that was probably like a panic reaction. I think just the fact that she's going, "Oh my God, did I hit him? Did I hit him? I think I hit him. I think I did something. Maybe he got hit by a snowplow." That's somebody who, to me anyway, is kind of coming to and piecing together what had happened the night.
But if they can prove that she deleted that ring footage, and if they can prove that she drove by prior to going back and
Right.
waking up the niece, that paints a very different picture. That paints someone who, in those hours, those subsequent hours, was trying to formulate a plan to
Right.
cover themselves. And that's not accidental. And 60 feet in reverse, reaching a top speed of 24 mile an hour. That's intent.
It is. I mean, that's definitely, I think the speed, I think they are really kind of pointing out, you've seen Lally do it in several people's testimony. Pretty much anyone that has been or was in that morning, Karen's car, around Karen's car, drove it, interacted with it. The question that he keeps coming back to is the backup cameras, right? He tells the jury when they go to view the car out on the scene, pay attention to the center console. And I really think that one of the sort of linchpins of their murder 2 theory is that she had a backup camera. She had auditory and visual cues that would ding on if there was an obstruction in the rear. They tested them. They were all working. So again, yeah, if you're hearing beeps and seeing in your rear view, or you should have seen in your rear view that you're about to hit a man and you just gun it anyway, that's pretty damning too. But we haven't gotten there yet.
Well, and her rear view could have been covered with snow. I mean, I know on my vehicles, I have rear view on all of them.
Right.
We get significant snow here. My rear view camera, when it's a snowstorm like that, it's more often than not blocked by snow. I mean, I guess that I don't know. But if they have her deleting that ring footage and staging that little backup, that's consciousness of guilt. And if they have her driving by and first, and they can infer to the jury that she drove by and knew he was there and didn't render aid, but wasted another hour or so, that's
murder
bad.
too.
If they can
That's
prove
murder
that,
too.
Yeah, that's murder too. Absolutely, because he could have been alive.
She did run straight to him. No one else could see him.
Very well. And I think, again, there's a strong circumstantial case building here. I essentially, what it boils down for me is if they can prove what they've asserted in that statement of the case and subsequent filings, that their case is pretty strong. And I do believe that they will be able to prove that. It's just a matter of time to see what happens there. Sunny Drop has another question. Is it true the Fed said damage on the SUV does not fit with injuries? I have heard that, but not seen it anywhere. So this was an issue pre-trial, right? This was the last. It was 2 motions, the motion to dismiss and the motion to sanction and disqualify the DA, the Norfolk County DA's office. They filed them around the same time, approximately. I don't have the doc in front of me, so I couldn't tell you if it was the same day or a little bit apart. And they filed them using federal materials. And while they're orally arguing this, I think, was it Jackson or Unetti? Do you remember? I think it was Unetti.
I thought it was Unetti.
It doesn't really. One of her attorneys, one of the, either Jackson or Unetti, gets up and makes this very bold proclamation that says, and we have an expert hired by the
3 PhDs. 3 PhDs.
You're like a botanist.
He says, no, he's a biochemical
okay.
mechanical engineer.
Right.
So not a pathologist, a biomechanical.
Not an FBI agent either, right?
No, third-party company. And he says, that John O'Keefe did not hit Karen's car, and Karen's car did not, hit John O'Keefe, and the injuries are completely inconsistent. And later on, when the judge rules on these motions, she makes a point to admonish the defense for misrepresenting impounded files. And so she's read all of the federal discovery. So the inference that you can make there is that they were not being honest about that. Later on, in a subsequent hearing, it gets brought up again, and Lally kind of he kind of ropes that back in and explains that no, that's not what the report said, that these are biomechanical engineers. We have some, questions about their credentials, who did what on the report. And furthermore, they go to painstaking lengths to say that the laceration on the back of his head was not caused by the vehicle, but the state was never alleging that anyway. So I think that what we're dealing with, and again, this kind of plays to, why
obfuscation.
this. You have a certain level of confidence in lawyers as officers of the court, as educated people. They show up in their suits, they speak well, they have authority within the courts, right? And so people are kind of primed to believe doctors, lawyers, police, right? And in this case, the lawyers speak with such certainty and authority, and they've already kind of primed the public to distrust the police. So they naturally believe if David Yannetti says something in open court, it's the truth. If Alan Jackson says something in open court, it's the truth. And like their track record is that it's not always the truth. So that's one of those things where you really want to step back and go, well, let's see what the report actually says, because they've made other proclamations that ended up.
This case will never go forward because the feds won't allow it to. That was something they said too. Right. They said that as well.
Yep.
Never happened.
That Higgins was offered a federal proffer and it flipped. That got dribbled out by the defense. You saw the proffer.
Not directly by was it the defense? Did they say that in open court?
I thought it came to Sean through his inside sources. Where we heard that.
Sean is a crazy person, respectfully.
I know. I'm just saying.
Really,
they have made.
Holy hell!
They have made a ton of statements that they've thrown out in court, knowing that they can kind of get away with it because it's pretrial, and all the free Karen Reed people go, why didn't Lally object? Well, you don't object in pretrial. It's motions. It's not how that works. You file a counter motion if you have an issue with it. But they've made a lot of leading statements and long stretches saying, we believe this. Well, you can believe whatever you want, but that doesn't mean you're going to be able to prove it in court.
Right.
And I still think, well, number one, I'm odd man out here. I don't think she meant to hit him. I think it was an accidental thump. She may not necessarily have even realized it happened at the moment and she took off. I think it wasn't until she couldn't get a hold of him was when she was upset that John wasn't home. Things may have started coming back to her as she figured it out, but I don't think her intent was ever to kill him. I think that's why it was manslaughter when she was first charged. That's why Yannetti first said this was a tragic accident, but it was not a crime. It was certainly not a crime. He was going for this was literally an accident. And then when they found out what else she did afterwards is when it got kicked up by the grand jury to murder too. And that's when she came out with I might take a manslaughter. No way am I taking a murder 2 rap. It's 20 years or whatever it can carry.
We heard what she was like.
But going back to what I said about alcohol and alcohol decreasing inhibitions and skewing your judgment and causing you to do things you might not necessarily do sober, she can't rely on the I was drunk defense because that's not a defense. It doesn't matter.
No, I don't think she will.
Sober. But this, what I'm trying to say is her being so drunk to the point where she was disinhibited. And if they can prove via her telematics, which is pretty solid, that she went 60 feet in reverse, that is intent to kill. You don't just do that on accident.
Definitely.
Unless she's shithoused, she starts to drive away from the house, realizes that John navigated her there via Waze. Okay. So she's in a neighborhood she doesn't know and realizes that she's going out the way she didn't come in. So she's driving into unknown territory. She throws it in reverse to back down the street and turn around and nails him on the way by because, again, she shithoused.
I don't think so, man. No.
Well, I don't know. It's a possibility.
I've got
it
a
is
theory.
A possibility.
I've heard yours. I'll throw mine out. She flips shit on a dime. We heard what she's like in Aruba. When Higgins honked a horn, she flips him off and says, "You go fuck yourself." Right? She flips shit on a dime. Right? So she's a crazy, crazy nutter. Just nuttier than a shithouse rat. Okay, we know that right off the jump. And she likes to drink to excess. She's basically a functional alcoholic. I think they have an argument, like she says. He jumps out of the vehicle, right? And she, in anger, like, just, no, we're not done arguing. Fuck this shit. Slams it into reverse. I'm going to make a point. I'm going to fucking tell you what's up. That's when she hits him. She's probably like in shock. Holy shit. Doesn't even want to believe it's real. She's that drunk. Takes off. The weight of the reality catches up with her. I think she goes back, confirms he's there. She's a selfish brat. She wants self-preservation more than she cares about him. She's cold, right? Then she goes, she's cooking over all this. She's getting more paranoid. She's imagining her life's going down the shitter at Mach 10, right? It's all becoming very fucking real. Then she's going to pull in Carrie and Jen because she's not doing this alone, right? And then the manipulation just doesn't stop.
No, I agree with that. I'm like almost 100% there with you on that scenario. I think that's exactly what happened. I think she had several hours after she had from 12:30 to 4:30 to kind of sort of sober up.
Yeah.
And think about how she was going to make it look like an accident. And so that she could reduce whatever she knew that her car was damaged.
Yes.
She knew she was going to get blamed for it. But she
like
had
her father said, she said she may have hit something.
Right.
I think immediately she didn't want to believe that she was in reality. Like, what did she say? It's like, I feel like I'm living a nightmare.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's literally what happened. Her not caring about people and putting their lives in danger because she's pissed. Like, I'm throwing this in reverse, man. We're still having it out. That selfish need. Right. If she could take it back, yeah, I believe she would. And I don't think it was like, I'm looking behind me and I'm trying to hit him. I don't believe that. I think it was just an outburst of like, who cares? You know, I don't think it was aimed, but everything she did after that point is what ratcheted up the murder too.
Yeah, she'd have to have some like phenomenal driving skills,
right?
To be able to aim at his head.
Yeah,
I think you're right. But I think the backing up was in anger, disinhibited, drunk, angry, rage,
crazy,
and she left him there to die. And I think that also explains the angry voicemails. She may have thought that she hit him and didn't kill him. Maybe just injured or harmed him.
Initially, that might have been why she went back. Like,
what was the comment from the interview? Was it did I somehow in his drunkenness incapacitate him, or some position of those words?
And she admitted
even in that, she was blaming him in his drunkenness.
In his she admitted to Aiden in the Signal chat. She said, "I believed maybe I could have clipped him." And so she knows. I mean, she's always revealing that she knows what she did. And I agree with you. She probably would take it back. But at the end of the day, this guy is dead. She killed someone. She took them off this planet. And there should be a consequence for that. What is there if not a consequence for that? That's murder. And she just doesn't want to face the consequences for that. And again, it's a simple intimate partner violence with the vehicle as the weapon. And it's common for women to do that because we don't have many other odds against men. We don't have the muscle strength and the power and whatnot against men. So women do use things like that. And so I think for me, the thing that I struggle with is the amount of people that just cannot see that. I don't what these blinders are that is blinding them, that they just cannot see that this is almost extremely common. This kind of stuff happens all the time. It doesn't reach this level. It doesn't reach this stratosphere of coverage. But this stuff is happening.
It's the comfort from the cult. And it's also, this is how you know you're in a cult. If you speak out or you do something that's not approved by the cult, they punish you.
I was going to say it's kind of the perfect storm now of, being spoon-fed only portions of the full story. They immediately put a lot of distrust in the authorities. The judge, they don't trust the judge. They don't trust the police. They don't trust the Commonwealth. So there's no trust in the prosecution's case against her. And they've really only been exposed to what she says in her version of the story, which is quite selective. And then on top of that, you've got the confirmation bias. Every single day, these people were rounded up and just fed the same story over and over and over again. They use the same catchphrases. They dress in the same colors, in the same t-shirts. And so
one of us.
and then there's also that sort of like fear they instill too, right? That
Yes.
you step out of
Yes.
line, things are going to get really bad for you. So the echo chamber becomes larger because if you dissent, you're going to get silenced from that dissent. So it's like there is nobody questioning that. At this point, if you question it, you're in the minority, and the human mind says that the minority must be wrong most of the time. And then on top of that, I really think at this stage in the game, you have a fair amount of sunk cost fallacy. So you've got people that have been essentially scammed. They've put in their time, their effort, their emotions, their money, right? Everything is funneled to this idea of Karen Reed being innocent. So no matter what happens in court, like, you know, the brain says, well, there's no way that I could be wrong. Look at how much I've put into this, right?
No.
I wouldn't put this much into this if I wasn't right about it the whole time. So it really, really just deeply entrenches us. I've seen a lot of people slowly change their minds as they actually see these people that have been demonized and really turned into these villains up on the stand, and you realize they are human beings.
As actual human beings. Yeah.
Relatable,
Yeah.
they're kind people, they're 5th grade school teachers, and, you know, decorated federal agents and decorated police officers and young kids. You know, they have emotions, they cry, they miss their friend. When you start to see that, it changes some people's minds, but they're not going to speak that openly. I'll put it this way. When I put this link in your group, Kay, I knew right off the bat when I'm saying, hey, if we have a full panel, just hang tight and we'll get to you. That was probably never going to happen. I was surprised that it did at the beginning, honestly, which is the only reason that I tried to rush you to get more people in. But at that point, but I'm just saying, like, that didn't even last that long because, like, speaking openly about this, you assume a certain sort of risk that all these ruined life
Yeah.
that have been used against these witnesses will be used against you too. And you know, from, you know, the one woman that was a turtle rider and in the Free Karen Reed thing, and she kind of defects and starts looking at the other side. She comments openly in your group. What happens? She gets a blog with her employee, everything, all
right.
of the information,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yep.
It's scary for people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
And like Tommy said, for people like him, Top CPU and others, you know, they're making off of it too. So they have that incentive to keep making that money before it's all over, you know.
Right. Right. Yeah. It's true. It's deplorable. It is. It's deplorable. And you know, you kind of feel like it's a thankless task trying to talk to people too and talk sense into them and, you know, try to lead them to reason. It's, you know, you're kind of, you know, the people that are kind of on our side, I hate to put it that way, the people that see it the way we do, you know, we already got them. We don't need to influence them or open their minds. We already got them. You know, it's these other people. And I just don't know how you reach them. This has gone on for like what, a year?
I think at this point you don't. I mean, yeah, we've been.
Yeah, I agree.
We've been doing this for a fucking year. Jesus Christ.
And what are all these people going to do if she's convicted? You know, my
what are they going to do?
They're
If she's
gonna-
not? No, I mean, either way, it ends.
Sell more merch.
So I think half of them, if she's convicted, half of them, their Twitter profiles will change. They will burn their merch and they will slink off into the darkness.
That's right. Yeah.
The other half will buy Canton is corrupt merch that somebody will start selling
for the
and
rest
claim
of their
that it's
lives.
just proof of the conspiracy. This is proof of it. They're the same people that still believe OJ's innocent. They're the same people that believe that Epstein killed himself. I mean, it's those people who they are so wedded to the conspiracy that they will never, ever, ever walk away from it. And next year they'll be telling us the earth is flat.
Right. And I don't think at this point that, I mean, at least for me anyway, the objective has not been to change those people. Like, there's no changing their minds, whatever. I mean, I concede that I could be wrong. I'm fairly confident that I'm not, because common sense and the evidence that I've seen and the people that I've talked to all kind of point to, like, I'm not, but I could be wrong. So I'm not going to try to change minds anyway. I think at least for us anyway, I'm speaking for Corrosive and Boomer, because we've been doing this so long. The objective really is to rally together and at least show support for the innocent people who have been so negatively affected by this, because like sea of voices that are condemning them, judge, jury, executioner, and really destroying their lives. There's at least that glimmer of like, listen, some people don't believe this crap. Some people can see this for what it is. You know, we're not, you know, we don't have to feel like pariahs in our own homes, because that's really what the objective has been. That's what Karen Reed has wanted this whole time. That's what her supporters want for her. That's
what they've been working for.
You know, dispatched to do is absolutely destroy these people's lives and break them down and make them feel like pariah. So that's, I think, what we're trying to do, because like the free Karen Reed people, like they're not going to change. There's so much. You just have to suspend so much of your own common sense and sort of reality to accept this crazy conspiracy theory that if you're already doing those mental gymnastics, they're probably not going to get off the ride.
I just can't even conceive of what must it be in someone's personality to, first of all, do such a thing, harm someone in such a way. I can see shit happening and accidents happen and whatnot, but then to add insult to injury by going to this level of destroying so many lives and the domino effect that has, that the way it just sort of radiates out from all of these people that have been affected, from the McCabe's to the Alberts and the few teenagers, also young people, and the domino effect of that, how it affects so many other people. I mean, what must there be in this personality that, first of all, can be involved in such a, really repugnant crime, banging someone with your car, and then causing such harm and mayhem and stress and grief for so many people,
It's
literally.
selfishness. That's what's at the core of most people that take lives and do other things that are criminal and horrifying. They're selfish. Nothing matters but them.
Just is there just no conscience there?
No, not really.
No.
No.
I like to think that most people would just feel horrid and horrible about even thinking of harming so many people, causing so many people such, I don't know how you would sleep. How would you look at yourself in the mirror, or how would you face God? Karen went to Catholic school, is my understanding. I had someone who knew her growing up, and she went to Catholic school, and I think that's a Catholic saint. She wears around her neck. She has a thing. I mean, is it possible she has herself as some sort of self-protective measure? She has herself sort of deluded and believes believes the lies.
I don't think so.
I know that's been like passed around. I don't know if that is accurate, though. I think that, maybe at this point she's I think she's convinced herself that, she's capable enough to pull this off. I think that
I agree with Jackie here, right here. It's just pure, she's psychotic. And like you say, I would hope most people, they wouldn't be able to sleep at night and everything. And you're right, because most people statistically are not psychotics. So, I mean, sometimes it is just that simple.
Yeah. Just vacuous, no soul.
Yeah.
I would feel horrible. I would feel so awful knowing I've hurt so many people. So many people have been hurt by this conspiracy. They've been humiliated online, and social media is such a big part of everyone's lives, for these people. Like, just take Jen McCabe as an example. This is a stay-at-home mom who, prior to this, I'm going to presume, led a pretty quiet. She's a coach. She has lived a pretty quiet life. I don't think she's had a huge social media presence. And now all of a sudden, to be sort of cast as this evil villain and having people distorting pictures of you and making up just blatant lies about you, right, and people calling you a murderer and making fun of the Haas long to die, making fun of her typo to no end, to the nth degree. And to see this, this just sort of sociopathy online all coming at you, that has to be so just terrifying. I just feel so bad for her, what she must go through, what that does to people's psyche, to be the target of that. It's so harmful. People are driven to self-harm over a tenth of what Jen McCabe has been put through. And then you have Colin. He's just a young kid. He's like a year older than my own boys. And to be made into this villain, and all of these lies told about him, and you have all of these people hating him, calling him a murderer. I just wish that any of these FKR people, for even just a second, because they can't all be sociopathic, put themselves in these people's shoes and imagine it's you or your loved one.
But Kay, here's what you're not getting. One person makes a phone call to one of the people who's done some of the major harassment from that side. They immediately call the cops. I mean, they don't get that side of the thing. One of the women who had been harassing people, the state police showed up at her house to ask if she was harassing people. She flipped her shit and said she was being oppressed by the state. Like they don't get that this can work both ways. But I think my personal belief is that the everyone's waiting for the trial to end before responding, and I think people are going to respond legally, not personally, and that takes a lot of restraint. And I mean, I would completely understand. I wouldn't condone it. I don't condone violence, but if some of these people were found thumped in a ditch by some of the people they've been talking shit about, I would understand it. I don't think anybody wants to go to that level. I think there's going to be some lawsuits though, and I think they'll be completely justified. I mean, you can't sit there day in, day out and say, guaranteed. You are a fucking murderer. You are you're a cunt. You're this, you're that about somebody who's never even been charged with it.
Right.
I mean, defamation's a thing.
Not
when you
even
start calling people's jobs,
right?
When you start calling people's jobs and saying this person should be fired because they're a murderer. I saw it on a YouTube stream. You're wading into dangerous territory.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think 10, 20 years from now, this case will be talked about in terms of being sort of like the poster child for this runaway. Again, I point back to the Amber Heard, Johnny Depp, whichever way you fall on that, it doesn't really matter whether you side with him or you side with her. I don't know a single person that can argue that Amber Heard was not completely just destroyed on social media. I mean, she was just completely humiliated. I mean, there wasn't anything that they didn't make fun of. They distorted pictures of her, made fun of her baby. Every area of her life was just turned inside out, mocked, made fun of, ridiculed. And again, even a scintilla of that, an average person going through will drive people to take their own lives.
I mean, Amber probably shouldn't have lied and accused Johnny of doing shit he didn't do. I don't have I have no sympathy for Amber Heard whatsoever.
But again, you can argue which way. It doesn't matter. It's that mob pitchfork. Let's destroy. Why do you care if she lied? Johnny Depp's nobody to you, so what do you care? Why would you want to see anybody be completely destroyed that way? It's sociopathic. We've got to be a little bit more charitable and kind than that. I don't know Amber, and you don't know Amber. But if Amber was
no, she's a crazy bitch who takes a shit on people's pillows. That's all I need to know.
It doesn't matter.
Hey, that's endearing to some people.
Yeah. I mean, if she was
stop judging. And I'm thinking maybe we should roll that. It's short. The Tommy CPU clip there again. We've got some people.
Yeah, I want to know more about this guy. Yeah, light that one up again.
Here we go.
It's all about fucking money. I mean, come on, they made enough fucking money.
Everyone can make money on this.
Exactly.
Everyone.
You don't want to watch it?
We were smart. We all fucking we were smart. We do members only. Everybody.
Yeah.
Hello? But no, we're not. We're playing fuck with stupid. Like why?
Why is the Rocco's going to court every day? Why is Speeder going to court? These fucking people been in the whole fucking thing. What's the matter?
How much money they raised? Karen? And him? And then you're gonna yell at him? I don't understand.
He kind of looks like her dad.
Yeah.
Jesus. I'd like to point out too at the very end there that Tom calls out TurtleBoy for calling out the Roccos. I was surprised he'd say that, even if he didn't know the mic was hot. I thought he might be afraid of, another blog on his weird bag of dilds.
Well, before I log off, somebody tell me, is TurtleBoy being arrested or not? Is he being has he violated his terms?
No, he's got a pre-trial hearing tomorrow for the restraining order violation. and I don't think it's going to be very eventful. I know that they've kind of switched gears with the special prosecutor who's kind of taken over for a little bit here. So I think he's still kind of getting acclimated to all these cases. It sounds like it was originally on for compliance, but I think they were reverting it back to a pretrial. So I would not expect very much. I know people like to, kind of free. Most of these court dates are pretty boring,
So I think, so here's the thing. I think the reason people are jumping to that conclusion is if you look in the court docket calendar, it says arraignment pretrial or something like that. So I think people saw that and thought that it's an arraignment. And as far as I know, it is not in fact an arraignment. The arraignments have all already happened. Now they're just arguing over what gets brought into court.
So is this just for the Lindsay Gattani situation?
This is for, the restraining order violation.
Okay. And is it true that he filmed her and taunted her with it? Is that true?
Yeah, I mean, so he's got a wiretapping charge for the pocket recording, because they had gotten into this argument. That's when the allegations of witness intimidation and the battery originated from. I think it was Christmas Eve, maybe the 23rd of December. And in the course of that, he, really agitated her, and then, all of a sudden gets very calm. And it's because he is secretly recording her from his pocket, which is illegal in Massachusetts. That's a felony. It's a two-party consent state. So he ends up putting that video online in a bizarre attempt, I guess, to make himself look good, but it had the opposite effect. Mostly, like, he didn't really come out of that looking that good. And then he also copped a charge for that. And then, there's, some allegations of some other stuff that have not hit the courts. So
did he actually accost her? He assaulted her?
Well, I mean, by the letter of the law, yes. I think it wasn't he makes so many allegations, and it's so ridiculous. I know her. She's my friend. We absolutely met because she was breaking up with Aiden. She reached out for help, and we started talking, and I genuinely like her. She's, a good person that's struggled a lot, particularly through all this. So she, against everybody's advice, not to shit on her, but that's the truth, had him over her apartment because he wanted to see what was in her phone or something. And anyway, so he pretty much pressures into, giving up the phone. She's scared shitless. She's trying to get a hold of the police, like, help, he's in my apartment. He's, making me really uncomfortable. He wants to see my phone. He's telling me that I can't testify. He'll destroy me, all this stuff. So there's a witness intimidation. And at some point he kind of coerces or, pressures her into letting him go through the phone. So he goes through all of the messages, especially all the messages between me and her, because he fucking hates me. The feeling's mutual. So he takes a bunch of notes, and at some point she kind of breaks away from him, sees these notes, grabs them up, and kind of stuffs them down her shirt. So he realizes what she's done and gets very angry. And by her account, grabs her, tries to wrestle the notes, and ends up pushing her on the couch. So he leaves, and she's distraught, and everything that had happened, and ends up reaching out, I believe. I mean, she'd already kind of talked to the state police and the prosecutor, but, I talked to her at some point. She's recounting this story, and, they're telling her, we can't help you. You're going to have to call your local police. And as she's telling me that, he wrestled over the notes, I'm like, oh my God, like, you just reported an assault to the police. And she's like, no, he didn't hit me. And I'm like, oh, he just shoved you around and stuff. So you just told the police that, like, you have reported an assault, and it didn't even register in her head. So he's claiming that she made the whole thing up, but he'll kind of speak out both sides of his mouth, because on the other hand, he'll kind of mock the allegation and go, oh, so I pushed her down on a comfortable couch, who cares? And it's like, I don't really see, if you're gonna lie and allege a domestic, you would think that you'd come up with something more extreme than that.
Yeah.
That she would have understood what she was doing. I mean, I really don't think she told the police this story, then she told me it, and didn't even connect until afterwards, like, oh shit. And I think she was pretty surprised when, they kind of call back and let him know that, they're going to arrest him for a domestic. And then in the meantime, she tries to get a restraining order, gets the restraining order, blah, blah, blah. So he didn't batter her, but it was definitely, by the letter of the law, an assault. The allegation was.
Yeah.
Anyway. And,
so what is the punishment he's looking at for this?
So that
ordeal?
charge was dropped. The reason.
Yeah. Null proct.
they brought the witness intimidation and the wiretapping. He was indicted, so that's in Superior Court. That left the assault in the district court, and it is my understanding that the prosecutor just didn't want to split the cases like that. And it's like this domestic assault is it's a misdemeanor, it's small potatoes, and he had more pressing charges with the 2 felonies that he got out of that incident up in Superior Court. So they abandoned those charges, and now he's looking at 2 felonies. And then obviously the restraining order violation happened at court. So now he has yet another misdemeanor down at the district court. And that's what he's dealing with tomorrow.
So what sort of penalty is he looking at for the felonies?
Which one? I mean, total. I mean, if you're looking at worst case scenario, maximum penalty for every single indictment that he has right now, you're looking at probably a total of like 160 years in jail.
What?
Prison, not jail, prison.
And what's best case scenario for him?
They drop half of them, they roll the rest together. He does 4 years or 3 with good behavior. That's the best. I think the best. I mean, unless they drop everything, which I don't really see happening, because you cannot let someone do this to the witnesses in a trial and then walk. The
cases are too strong anyway. So Jules, it would be 10 years apiece for the witness intimidation, except the underlying case in the majority of those actually all the witness intimidation cases, the underlying case is a murder case. So in Massachusetts, if you're indicted on witness intimidation, then the maximum sentence actually doubles if the underlying case is a life sentence case like murder. So because he intimidated witnesses in a murder case, he's actually facing 20 years maximum per charge in a prison for each witness intimidation charge.
Jeez. Wow. And he still keeps going.
Yeah.
I mean,
yes, he does. He keeps
just
going.
Can't stop. Yeah.
No. He's having a great time. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, look at all my subscribers, and I'm winning at life right now. I'm kicking ass, dude. He
claims he's making 40 to 50,000 a month. I mean, I don't know after taxes.
Well, you know what?
He's gonna have duck boats.
You know what? He put that in print. So when that comes out in court, when he gets civilly sued and he has to pay cash settlements, and he turns around and goes, wait, I'm broke. They're like, you make 40 or 50 grand a month. You said so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but who knows what he's pissing it away on? You know what we've learned with the Rakita law situation. Now we know he was pissing and frittering it away on coke and strippers and what, I mean, so who knows?
What's interesting with Rakita too, we were actually talking about this last time we streamed, is if you look at the genesis of the free Karen conspiracy theory, especially on YouTube, like in this digital space, Rakita Law was one of the first people to platform it.
Oh, shocking.
It's almost like it's a curse.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm not shocked.
He had it's the Kiernichu. It's cursed.
Yeah, dude.
Kiernichu.
Yeah. Things are just getting weird out here, man. Weird.
All right, you guys. I'm going to bed. Thank you, Kate, for having me on. I appreciate it.
Thank you for coming.
All right. You guys have a good night.
Have a good one.
Okay, bye-bye.
120 years, bro. That's a lot of goddamn time.
Yeah, so it's more than a little bit.
Close to that, honestly. I think he's got no previous criminal record. I don't know, his behavior after the fact it's not doing him any favors, I don't think.
I'd imagine not.
I mean, I'm gonna guess if you get in front of a judge and they're gonna be sentencing you, and the judge looks and realizes you've written 35 blogs calling the judge all kinds of names, maybe not a good idea.
Yeah, not gonna help you.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I want to know
judge's tools. Yeah.
How any normal person just keeps shooting themselves in the foot over and over every day. Like I've never seen anything like it. It's fucking amazeballs. Like.
Yeah, it's like he's compulsed, man. It's throwing himself headlong
right off the porch, nosedive, dude. Like, what is happening? Like,
what do you say? It's time to accelerate, right? When that's your fucking motto, I guess you're gonna be a little apeshit with how you live.
Don't worry. What do you mean he's stoic, right? Like,
oh no, he's completely reserved, calm, cool, collected, and then some. Oh yeah, hell yeah. He's very smooth, man.
Goddamn
Yeah.
smooth operator.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. He thinks he's Andrew Tate. Fuck.
Oh my god.
Boomer, can you see the starred messages? I can't see it on this FUBA.
Can I see the starred messages?
I can't see shit on a phone.
Do we have super chats?
Right.
Do we?
We have like a ton.
Oh my god.
Right.
Is it time?
I think we got a
It
super
is.
chat. I think we got a super chat. I think we got a super chat. I think we got a super chat.
God damn.
That's the best thing ever. Ever.
Can you read that? Can you see them? Because I can't.
I'm looking for them right now. They should be. Yeah, they should be
On
at
the
top,
right.
I'm
On the-
looking. Oh, there's one. I see that one.
All right, Biff. Thank you. He says Mark Sweeney still owes me $2,000. You're never gonna see that money.
Yeah, never, Biff. Sorry, but Mark Sweeney, why don't you pay up, dude?
$2,000. Goddamn. All right, you were saying on the right. I'm looking on the right. I see comments. I see them, but I don't see any stars though. I saw that one that popped up, but
How do we lose this?
I don't know. They should be
It's
at the
not-
top. I thought.
It's not in StreamYard Studio. There isn't a special comments over on the right, private chat comments, and then
I see private. I see comments.
oh, you know what?
but
Do
what?
you have to star them yourself in StreamYard? Because
I don't know.
No, usually they auto star.
Oh my god.
They didn't this
oh
time.
no,
Why wouldn't they have though?
I don't.
Is
Well,
it?
I can
Yeah.
see them on the YouTube
the
side.
curse?
If you would like me to read through them, I can do it on the YouTube side. Would you like me to do that?
Yes, please.
That would be
Yeah, 'cause I
very,
can see them.
very handy.
So we
Appreciate
had Nima, member for 23 months, saying Hope Karen Reed is convicted. Justice for John O'Keefe. James Clay with 1999 said Aiden and the Roccos are maggots, but they didn't kill anyone. Karen. Yussie Powder for $1.99 said, "Can I get a link to sit pretty my something about boobs?" Mel M says $5 treats for good boy Jake. Carrie
All
Lano
right, pause
became
for
a
a
gold
sec.
member.
I want one excuse.
Yes.
Just
I think we got a super chat. I think we got a super chat. I think we got a super chat. I think we got a super chat.
I just had to see it again. I'm
Not
sorry.
getting old at all. Not old.
It's set up on OBS, dude. It's gonna be like a automatic thing.
JK for $9.99 said, "Kate, I have to say, wherever I'm having a bad day, I watch you meeting Chili. Best friends right here. Haha, love." Paul Berry for $2 said, "When did Killer Karen hire Yannetti?" This was like 3 hours ago. Judge Shackelford for $2 said, "Tell Josh BSBT to take care of that warrant." James Clay for $4.99 said, "Amy is hotter than Karen. Bella's mom is too." Mob News TV 1.99 English pounds said, "Every This Is Truth, my new Chan." Biff Thunder Muffin for $9.99, which you already read. Mark Sweeney still owes him $2,000. And Becky Dog Lover for $2 says, "What's the difference between jail and prison?" The difference between jail and prison, Becky Dog Lover, is how long you spend there. Jail is less than 365 days. Prison is more than. In most cases, some states have a variation, but typically that's the way it's broken down.
In Massachusetts, the House of Corrections is a maximum of 2.5 years. Prison is state run as opposed to county run, and it's for longer stays with more hardened criminals mostly.
Yeah. And news update, I found the widget for AutoStar Super Chats. It is now on.
Yes,
But
Biff.
in most cases, misdemeanors are going to land you jail, felonies are going to land you prison. And in Massachusetts and some other states,
that's the difference with indictments.
Right.
If you're in the lower court, if you're in the district court, even if you have a felony, you're only looking at House of Correction time. The district court only has the authority to remand you to the House of Corrections. If you're indicted and you go up to the Superior Court handles cases that are sending you to prison.
I like this question. Prison for felonies. Can you get a whole shitload of misdemeanors enough to put you into prison?
I don't think so. That might be some weird place you can do that, but as far
Let
as
me
I know,
double check
probably
that. I'm
not.
gonna look up like let me see like a misdemeanor.
Good question. That's a good question.
Like if you're just savage with like thousands of misdemeanors, right? And parking tickets and shit. Can you go to prison?
I mean, you can obviously spend more than 12 months in jail if you are waiting trial or any of that kind of shit. They're not going to throw you in prison while you're awaiting a trial. They'll hold you in jail, but that's a different kind of custody.
Agreed.
So I'm looking at a misdemeanor charge right now.
Well, the jail I worked in, you like the agent said, you're held until the trial is over, and then they'll bump you up to state prison. So
yeah, so a misdemeanor. It looks like so. This is a kind of a wobbler. I honestly looked up 13 A through D, right? And so A is the misdemeanor charge, and that's 2.5 years or House of Corrections or a fine. And then if you have a second or subsequent offense, then it bumps up to a like a wobbler. So you can either have a felony in the lower court, which is that 2.5 years in House of Corrections, or at that point they can indict you, and then you'd be in the state prison for more than 5 years. So it looks like misdemeanors are going to carry jail sentences, and then a felony you could face prison time if you're indicted.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Well, it all sounds like it sucks. I would not want to be looking at tens of years.
And if I was, I certainly would not go live on a live stream and go, let's look through what I was charged for. Yeah, this is where I said that. Yeah, I did say it. Here, I'll say it again.
I don't
like
feel
so
guilty.
smart.
Yeah.
Like so smart, right?
The video from tonight, as we know, I regrettably did not watch it because I was doing other shit. Like what other people did. So the most notable stuff was what he yet again encouraged his audience to call Elizabeth Proctor's work.
Pretty much.
And
well, I don't know. Look, I don't want to say he encouraged them, but he did in fact say, "Dads, you just heard her phone number, and it's your right to call them and tell them that you don't like this person that works there. If you feel like
dog whistles. It's all dog whistles."
Yeah, he told people to call Proctor's wife's work, so that was smart. A+
Journalism, is that normal? Did Ted Koppel do that?
And
Ted
then
Koppel got an award for doing that.
Did he?
Worcester.
I knew it.
From Worcester. Yeah, Worcester.
So in his other case, the we'll call it the domestic matters, for lack of a better term here, with his ex-girlfriend. I hate throwing her name out like that, especially if she's not here, but whatever, with his ex-girlfriend. That he's under an agreement, not an order right now. So essentially what happened was he inadvertently got the entire contents of this girl's cell phone. She voluntarily handed over her phone, much like Jen McCabe and Carrie Roberts, and much like Jen McCabe has suffered nothing but misery ever since. And so the entire contents of that phone dump that she voluntarily gave over ended up in the hands of Aiden Carney. It was a mistake. The prosecution tried to rectify it. Aiden and his attorney pretty much told the prosecution, go fuck yourself. I'm going to publish this if I want to. Then it went back in front of the court for a protective order. In the interim, there was an agreement made that he would not disseminate those materials. And apparently, again, tonight, he either did disseminate it or threatened to, or
said he was going to post a bunch of stuff tomorrow, or maybe he would post it tonight, but he would post a bunch of stuff.
Well, that's good.
Wait till you guys see this stuff, he says. Like, come on, bro.
There was a protection order put on, right, Kate? Like that?
Yes,
it was. The decision hasn't been made yet.
Judge yet. So
okay.
Essentially what happened is they went in, and the judge seemed, I think that he probably will rule for the protective order, but it's sort of contingent on the process. So everybody made a deal here. Pretty much the prosecution is going to provide a redacted copy of that phone dump and within 30 days, and then in the interim, Aiden and his attorney are supposed to hold on to what was provided to them but not go through it and not
that's what I was
Right.
That's what I was saying. Like Bradel did agree in court. He said after I had sent the email claiming that we would not disseminate anything, nothing has been disseminated. We don't plan on disseminating anything, and we will hold this. Like, it's this Mexican standoff with these phones. Like, you give us your copy, we'll give you the other one back. So
right, they're going to do the trade-off.
Bullshit. Yeah, like, gotcha. And again, I mean, Aiden did make the point. He said they're files. It's not like you can take the physical copy and hand it back and be like, that's the only one. So I think he was self-snitching there a little bit too. But if he keeps dropping stuff, I mean, his lawyer promised they wouldn't. So we'll see how that works out.
Yeah, it's not going to work out too well because judges don't like it when you basically spit in their faces. Like they throw the book at you for that. And if you make an arrangement in court and your attorney is proffering to the fact that you're not going to disseminate it and then you keep doing it, guess what? The judge is going to think that you're shitting on the legal system and you got yourself a fucking problem. But apparently we're talking about somebody who never learns their goddamn lesson. So.
Oh, sorry, guys, but it looks
I
like
think we got a super chat. I think we got a super chat. I think we got a super chat. I think we got a super chat.
Tequila Mockingbird says, what's the name of that super chat song? Glare plays the same thing, and I've always wondered where it's from. I have no idea.
No fucking clue.
I have no, yes, I have no fucking clue.
Tainted.
Right? It's cursed. Yeah, I don't know. But it looks like it upsets Miss Little greatly.
Oh, I'm sure it does.
Mm-hmm.
You got 5 minutes to get that shit off Twitter. 5 minutes.
Oh God. And then the eyes start twitching in opposite directions. And she does that sort of twitch to one side, like her head, like her neck is shorting out and the bot is breaking down.
She looks like a serial killer. I'm like, what is happening right now? Like a constipated serial killer. Like
she looks like a robot Stepford wife that's the short circuiting. It's just twitch, blink, blink,
So
twitch,
excited.
weird
looks
song, like
dusty,
starts randomly
angry.
singing. Like her CPU randomly tunes into Spotify and starts singing and then shorts out again.
Oh my God.
At least she's a great actress, right, guys?
Yeah.
It's from
I couldn't
Ryan
believe
Upchurch.
that she had the ball though. Like, I'll give you 10 minutes to get that shit on Twitter. I was like, do you realize everybody's pointing and laughing at you right now? Like, you really said that? You really thought that was going to happen? Oh, that's cute.
So yeah, we're getting our streams crossed. I was referring to the defense attorney Little, but you got me all focused on the dry and angry one.
I'm sorry, I had to.
the shitty lawyer, shitty actor. Take your pick.
Boomer, you've been silent.
Huh? Hey, what the?
I think we got a
Someone
super
say
chat. I think we got a super chat. I think we got a super chat. I think we got a super chat.
Forgive me.
I
I was
can't take
looking
it
at
anymore.
I am trying so fucking hard not to be a fashion critic right now. I really am. But
what
are mirrors outlawed in Massachusetts? Is it illegal to
What are
look
you
at yourself
trying
in
to
a mirror
say,
before you
man?
leave the house? I'm just curious.
You don't hurtful. You don't think they look fresh, dope, and fly?
Bike shorts are for when you're on a bike. That's all I'm gonna say.
I was going to answer a chat a long time ago, and I was planning on just touching on this just to keep people apprised. So for everyone that was asking what's going on with Grant Ellis Smith,
yes.
I'm going to federal prison.
Oh,
He turned me into the FBI for the theft that did not happen. He's now purporting, perhaps has convinced himself that I have threatened parties involved into saying that there was no theft. So it's still on, despite the fact that I've now showed receipts and had everybody involved confirm a million times over that the lawyer was paid and the give, send, go money paid it, and further confirm that I covered the $500 in fees out of my own money. This is not satisfied Grant Smith Ellis, who has vowed to turn me into the feds. I'm in a ton of trouble. And also, apparently, he's going to join the DOJ just to take me down.
Awesome.
I can't even be mad. I was pretty mad that he was accusing me of theft for days, like mad, like you shouldn't be this mad at the internet, mad, and now I can't.
Oh
even
shit!
Nat wants a super chat.
We got a super chat. We got a super chat. I think we got a super chat. I think we got a super chat.
Jesus.
I agree with
Elizabeth
all of
Little
these comments.
face.
Betty, yes,
I
due to the
know.
trip. Yes, schizophrenia is a hell of a drug. Yeah, he is his own SNL skit. Like, I'm
He
sorry,
is.
but like
Yeah.
this case has just brought out the worst in everybody and like brought in the worst collection of fucking grifters. So I didn't really. Grant seemed to me to be like harmless and well intentioned. So like, and again, I didn't get
I
super
thought
close.
so.
I did.
Yeah.
He was eccentric, but he seemed harmless. And then this whole fake theft thing broke out, and I got inundated with information from the cannabis community where he had been
Yeah.
right before he kind of jumped onto the Karen Reed
Before
train.
he appeared. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
He was getting chased out of the cannabis community and sanctioned by the Cannabis Control Commission because he was doing similar to things, I would be very cautious giving Grant money because he is begging for money for food and expenses at 35 years old. It is worth noting that he lives at home with his mother. He drives his mother's car. He has virtually no expenses. I do not believe that he is starving. He does collect some sort of check, so it's not like he is without any money whatsoever. And he is, taking money from people that he's begging for and then simultaneously pulling it out to his imaginary girlfriends and trying to
But that-
flex on how much money he's getting for, quote, nothing, right? Which it's
Doesn't
not
he have
nothing.
a belt made out of shoelaces though? So that's kind of like the center of his moves. It's like, look at my sad belt.
Right. So we also found out that some of the other stuff that he was doing was similar about trying to move into people's houses, making up crazy stories. He conned a woman into allowing him to live on her couch for 3 months by saying that
man.
Russian oligarchs had put out a hit on
What?
his head. Yes. Yep. So
Holy shit.
he claimed
Okay.
that
I
the
didn't
Russians
know
were
that.
chasing him and he needed to go to a safe house. And then after she let him into the house, she slowly starts to realize that the real reason is because he's pissed at his mom because she stopped giving him money for fast food and marijuana.
I want my Windies. I want my Windies.
Right.
Donkeys.
So after 3 months of Grant living on the couch and taking her money and her weed and everything else, she had to drive him back to his mother's house, and he spent the entire time screaming at her, and then went on a smear mission, kind of similar to this theft allegation that he threw. Yes, and then another member of this cannabis community, he had tried to con him into giving his house 24/7 security because he claimed that Russian oligarchs had put
again with those Russian oligarchs.
Right. And the guy said, well, we
Yeah.
never gave him security and he's still alive. So how fortuitous is this? He also, there's some allegations floating around that he defrauded a couple of nonprofits that he was involved with.
Oh,
and obviously there's that Heinz, convention center, controversy where they're claiming that he lied to the police to implicate this guy for his friends, one of which is an accused child predator, right?
Oh, that's where that came from. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
And I will say that once they showed me the videos, if you look at the video of the actual confrontation and then the body cam of Grant's reporting on it, it's not congruent. I'll say that much. I don't know if that was intentionally malicious on Grant's part or if it's just because he's kind of divorced from reality. It could be either. But yeah, we should have vetted him
That's
out.
too bad, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus. Shit.
Yes.
I feel like we live on a fucking different planet. Like what in the actual F and F is going on around there?
The internet. This
normal.
is if you wrote a science fiction novel where you could just like photocopy the internet and put it on the street and it would become 3D walking people. This is what's going on with this. It's
Like,
just these are the people that inhabit chat rooms in the real world.
Dude, I'm all baked now. I'm thinking about 3D printing the internet. That's so
right
fucked
all
up.
the time. I'm not gonna lie. I was thinking about it.
Right? CERN opened up a dimension and now I'm 3D printing the internet. That's my future. What the fuck is happening, man?
Anyway, that was the update, is that we did a little bit more research into this. It turns out probably not the guy I thought he was. And yeah, he is, no matter how much evidence is provided to refute his erroneous claims that I stole $8,000 from Lindsay Gaetani that was fundraised for her lawyer. He's going to continue to assert that it did happen. And now, unfortunately, with all his power and influence, he's going to send me to federal prison, he will regardless remain a virgin. I'm pretty sure that.
You are going to get Mo.
Oh.
I suggest you kidnap one of his penguins now and hold it as ransom so that he can't
penguins
send
hang
you.
out.
His
I
penguins.
want a penguin.
No.
He said he had a bunch of penguins and he was going to go seek asylum in like Germany or something with the penguin. I don't remember. It was some weird fucking plot twist that he
So
had on
there's
Twitter
lots
one
of
morning.
Russian oligarchs in Massachusetts, and there's penguins too.
And he has penguins. Yes, he has.
I want a
penguins.
penguin.
Well, apparently you got them around you. Just go for a stroll, see what you find.
Penguins give pebbles to their mates and they mate for life. I want a penguin.
So this is the only thing that I'm going to kind of have to defend. I know a lot of people are like, he's begging for money and he drives a Porsche, and like just to like that's his mom's Porsche, so it's not his. Like, just so we're fair here. Like, I'm not saying that he's a man of great means or anything like that. I'm just saying that, like,
No, but I will say when you are throwing up legal, like when he's arguing against an HO and he's writing some weird fucking anti-slap legislation that he's trying to fight an HO with, and he shows the pictures and he goes, everybody, if you could donate and help out, every penny would help. And there's a Porsche logo on the steering wheel that he's got the paperwork laying against. It doesn't help your grifting when you're driving a Porsche and saying, I need money.
Odd things for someone who's like projecting theft on other people. And again, I was so deeply like offended by that, because it's like, not only did I not steal, but like I contributed not a huge, I certainly didn't, contribute the whole thing, but not a small amount of money to this either. Like, right, like out of my own pocket, which I'm not complaining about. I did it willingly. I was happy to do it. Like, it was the right thing to do. People have helped me before. I pay it forward when I can, like whatever. Right. Like, but like, it's the opposite of stealing. And Grant is just full force with this. So I was quite offended by that. And that meanwhile, Grant contributed $0.00 to this fund. And additionally is begging for money for some of them. I need money for USB drives and medical expenses. Like, nobody's ever seen a medical bill. You don't have health insurance.
His drug is weed. It cures his issues. Medical expenses equals top flight freaking weed cultivars.
It's not working.
No, it's not working. No. Yeah, it's just unfortunate all around. Like, that sucks. It's too bad.
Yeah, that was a wild story, Piper. I was that guy is that was weird.
That was strange. Very, very strange.
How much could a USB possibly cost? Well, you have to think that like
$10 probably.
He needs USB. He needs to put gas in his mom's car. He needs to smoke weed. He needs to buy fast food. He needs to buy awkward, weird Walmart gifts to try to woo a girl that would never look in his direction ever in his entire life. And then he needs to get mad about it when he realizes that. I don't know,
bro.
What affidavit am I supposed to read?
I think she might mean the handwritten pencil anti-slap thing that he was going to file with the court. Maybe.
Yeah, I would like to see how that turns out. Anti-slap is a really weird like that.
Yeah, I mean, he went in with anti-slap before he had even had the actual hearing. At this point, he only had an emergency order, had a hearing scheduled to go in and do the whole argue over it thing. He runs into court, calls for a special hearing, throws anti-slap legislation against it. The judge goes, fuck it, we'll do it live, and goes, no, this is now the hearing, and no, you don't win, and yes, it's now a permanent order. Get the fuck out of my face.
Yeah, that was an interesting move. Like, whatever, that's on you, I guess. Like, I mean, far be it from me to, exercise any real legal expertise. I mean, I know from my experiences writing with TurtleBoy and then later on my own back and forth with Chili DeCastro that in Massachusetts, anti-slap is a strategic lawsuit against public participation. And it particularly in Massachusetts requires the element of it being, a strategic lawsuit or civil action that is intended to chill your right to petition your government. So it interfere with petitioning activities. Attending the Karen Reed trial is not a petitioning activity. So I don't know. Like, good luck with that. I'll be interested to see the outcome of that. Which do you think will happen first? Will Grant's anti-slap appeal get granted, or will I end up in federal prison?
I have to pick.
Aliens will show up.
Mm.
Like, we will actually have contact with someone from beyond the stars. Will happen before either of those things.
Well, we know lizard people are here.
Yeah.
Look at Joe Biden.
They drive Lexuses. Huh, what's that? Yeah, right. There you go.
I am going to the big house. Yes, thank you. Do we have any other topics to cover? We've been going for almost 3 hours and it's after midnight.
Oh my God.
I gotta get up in the morning and drive kids to school. Well, one kid, because my other kid is done with high school and graduating next week.
Right.
Tequila. I'm sorry. I was talking to chat. I shouldn't do that.
I baked. Who cares? No, continue, Karen.
I was going to say, Tequila said smells bad as in BO or too much axe. Neither. Apparently, he just reeks of weed all the time.
It's all three. I could tell.
Oh, is it?
I could tell some embarrassing stories that I'm not going to tell somebody else, but about like it's a mixture of BO and a gratuitous amount of Axe body spray and then just weed. Yeah. That's fine though. Sometimes I forget to wear deodorant. I smell gross too.
I don't know. I just hope he gets sorted out, like he figures it out or he gets help, whatever. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. He seems to have trouble with lots of shit.
Making it I like so I'm trying not to do the Twitter back and forth. Like people are still sending me shit.
Yeah.
Posted and it's like part of me wants to like take the screenshot and tweet it, but then I'm like, no, don't do that. That's not the right
I know.
thing. But it's
so
difficult when somebody goes that far off the rails delusional. Like I'm not a good person. So it's tough not to mock it. I'm trying.
Understandable. No, I get it, but like all right, it's clearly fucked up.
I know. But I'm fucked up too. So just
I can relate. I
Yeah.
can relate. But it's tenuous. It's tenuous, Grant.
Yes, Tequila Mockingbird. I have planned a graduation party. I have a sweet yard sign in front of my house right now, and she has a dress.
She bought a dress.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, the kid's got her shit together, that's for sure. So I am proud.
I was gonna say, proud mama right there. Proud moment.
All right. Anything else, guys? I am fading fast.
I am too.
Yeah, I'm ready for bed.
I'm pretty much done.
All right, guys.
On to the Discord voice chats.
Disperse.
I can't put the Discord in the chat right now because I am on this FUPA computer that is not connected to anything.
Which Discord do you want me? You want me to share the obviously Web Enterprises.
Thank you. Gross is on it. So if you want to join our Discord, I guess you could. It's a wretched hive of villainy and scum, and sometimes it goes kind of dead in there, and other times turtle people go in there and piss everybody off. It's an okay time, so you could join.
There's
pretty gross.
There's the Discord link. I'm just warning you, you'll probably be called names that you don't appreciate, and the mods are probably not going to do much about it.
Yeah,
it's kind of a free for all.
What mods? What do you mean?
Yeah, no one respects them anyway.
All right, guys. Good night.
All right.
Night,
later.
Bye.
Thanks.